Well, good morning and welcome to Phillip Oval in Canberra for Round 21 action here on NEFL TV, thanks to our broadcast partner Bar TV. Round 21 of the NEFL, proudly supported by Elastoplast, and two sides in very different form lines at the moment. The Canberra Demons in 5th place on the NEFL ladder with 3 back-to-back losses take on the Aspley Hornets, who are sitting in 3rd place after 5 wins on the trot. I'm Eddie Williams. With me this afternoon is Chris Coleman. And Chris, can the Canberra Demons turn around this form slump?
Well, Eddie, this is Canberra. This is where history happens. As we've seen off the football field during the course of the week, we will see it on the football field here this week, of course, with the Canberra Demons. They will play finals. That much we know. It's whether they get a home final or not. I suspect that there's a lot of expectation been lifted off this Canberra side. The last few weeks have been a bit of a reality check for them, and I suspect that may just help them. They're a more dangerous side when they're the underdog than when they go in as a favourite, and I think they definitely go in as an underdog this afternoon, and I reckon they'll get up. It'll be a close one, and then that'll bring percentage into play, and we'll try and keep tabs on the live ladder through the course of the afternoon as well.
As you say, a home final on the line. The winner today will expect, probably, depending on a few percentages and a few other things, the winner today will expect to host a home final next week. These two sides have met twice so far this season with 1 win each. Last time they played at Manuka Oval here in Canberra, with the Demons getting over the line by 33 points. That was their first ever win over Aspley. So this is a side that they've only beaten once, and that one win was during their 8-game winning streak through the middle of this season. But the Demons' form, unfortunately from their perspective, has gone a bit cold in the past few weeks. I'm looking forward to the midfield battle today. Mitch Maguire, the superstar in the Canberra Demons lineup, touted as a potential draft prospect. He comes up against arguably the best midfield in the competition, led by Matt Payne and Andrew Swallow. We'll also keep an eye out for Aspley's Rising Star nominee, William Gowers, who had 24 touches against Redland last week. The Aspley Hornets kicking to the left of your screen, to the northern end in this first quarter, after their captain Ben Warren won the toss. The Canberra Demons going to the right of your screen to the Woden end, with Milne and Spencer about to do battle in the opening bounce.
Indeed they are. Let's see which way this one goes this afternoon. An intriguingly poised game, too. I think fairly evenly matched sides, although very different in styles of play. You'll see that through the course of the afternoon. No one really gets the ascendancy from the bounce, and Ives gets his first hand on the ball in the middle of the ground, but he goes straight into the bottom of a pack, and we'll get another ball up about 1.5 metres from where the action started this afternoon. If you haven't been with us for a game from Footy Park in Phillip, or Phillip Oval as it is officially called now, but Footy Park to old hands here in Canberra, it's a newly renovated ground here in the nation's capital. The Aspley Hornets wouldn't have seen it before, as the ball comes out now to their captain, Warren. Those distinctive orange boots. He puts the ball somewhere towards their forward line. Now going to ground underneath it, a couple of players. Warren runs around the outside, picks it up. Pretty awkward looking, wobbly old kick. Unable to take a handle on it was Reece Toy. Puts the ball to the ground and a pack forms over the top, and we get a bounce just outside the forward 50 for the Aspley Hornets.
One late change for the Hornets this afternoon, Chris, with Luca Mason coming in for his first NEFL game of the year, replacing Jonathan Freeman, as Warren again getting near the footy, can't quite claim it. Payne fires the hand pass out, comes the way of Joyce. He goes back, now Ives swings it across the body, a tumbling ball towards half forward. Klemke was in best position for Canberra but couldn't take the mark, may have been held without it. The ball spills free, it'll come to Payne again. Payne with a kick to full forward, he's got a man all on his own, and the Aspley Hornets will get a shot on goal from 30 metres out, directly in front. They had an open forward line there, and now looking for the first goal of the afternoon through the centre-half forward, Connor Stackelberg.
Well, you saw there just for a moment, and I think it'll be an intriguing matchup. We're going to see a bit of it this afternoon. Matthew Payne for the Hornets and Mitch Maguire for the Canberra Demons. They'll be in, I think, close proximity to each other for a fair degree of the afternoon. But here's Stackelberg now with the shot. Just
starts it out to the right and it doesn't come back. So the first score of the game is a minor score. The Hornets one behind. Canberra yet to score. We've played nearly 2 minutes in this first quarter.
We did say percentage likely to come into play this afternoon if the Canberra Demons get up for a win. Just if you're wondering, the Demons sitting on 107.1, the Hornets 108.2, so that's how close it is, and really it won't require much of a win, but it's possible here that Canberra could win narrowly and not overtake the Hornets on percentage. We'll keep you posted on that through the afternoon, but the Demons bring the ball back into play. The target is Taylor, juggles it, takes the mark there, gets around in front of Warren, now decides to play on, looks inboard, then goes outbound instead, finds, well, it goes over the head of Maguire, and it's Tom Fall, who's been a real revelation for this Canberra side in recent weeks. He's been one of the players who I think perhaps hasn't really lost his form. Lost his footing there, I think it was Bruce in the end. It was flattened, but the Demons have managed to hang on to it. Maguire's followed the play forward, puts the ball in towards the forward 50, off the pack from underneath there. Another hand pass, but it's Aspley, tough in defence. Ball goes free on the ground. Ives eventually, well, he's finally got it, off to a teammate now, further forward, waiting underneath it was Toy. Can't get a grip. Picks it up off the ground. They come around the outside. Now it's with Payne again. Geez, they'll have leather poisoning by quarter time at this stage. Onto the skipper in Warren. Warren puts the ball into the forward 50. There's nobody there. It'll probably fall in front of Batchelor. It does, but Batchelor can't take control of it. It spills over the boundary line and out of bounds for a throw-in. A half-forward flank for the Aspley Hornets.
You mentioned Tom Fall. 5 goals last week. He was on fire up at Blacktown against Sydney Uni, but the Demons not able to get over the line. Another tough ruck battle this week for Cameron Milne, coming up against former Melbourne Demon Jake Spencer. Neither of the ruckmen could get hands on it that time. Swallow bursts through, can't take possession. Big pack around the play. It spills Canberra's way. That's one of their inclusions there this week. Bud, who had his hands on the ball. It's kicked towards full forward for Aspley. Damon still with numbers. Maguire tracking it back. Still Maguire. Gives the hand pass out to Martin. Martin under a bit of pressure. Feeds it back to Paik. Paik now with a hand pass to his playing coach in Klemke, who just got a kick away under enormous pressure from the Aspley attack. Martin goes in again. Canberra just handballing the ball a lot inside defensive 50. Now the ball spills free, but the umpire will call it back and we'll have a ball up inside 50 for the Hornets.
Maybe a little lucky to benefit there. Could have been holding the ball call, but it'll be a ball up. Umpires this afternoon, by the way. That's Dean Garraway in 18 who did the ball up there. Nipris in 9, Sam Nipris, and Nick McGuinness in 7 are your field umpires this afternoon. And once again, Dean Garraway, after the ball's travelled about 4 metres, says nope, still not happy with how that one's been cleared, and we'll be up for yet another ball up. So we're about 30 metres from the Hornets' goal. Ball goes up, tapped to the Hornets' advantage, but there's plenty of blue and yellow jerseys there. There's also plenty of now brown and gold and white jerseys there. And we've gone from a primary to a secondary, so now we have a tertiary ball up, still inside the forward 50 for the Aspley Hornets. Up in the air again, and really no one able to get to it. Taylor was running on for Canberra, and I think possibly the man who actually got the best of it. Kicks it kind of hurriedly just outside 50, but the Hornets, they turn it around and straight back into the true centre-half forward position. Easy mark taken in there, and having to lean around a pole in the commentary box to actually pick who it is. And it is Brandon Batchelor who's got it there. One of the joys of this newly redeveloped ground. I don't think this is actually a dedicated broadcast box we're in, Eddie. I think it's more of a stats box than a broadcast box, and it has a couple of pillars on the window. But what's Batchelor got here? It'll be a long-range shot from just inside the 50 when he kicks. He's directly in front from 49. He roosts it, and it's offline. No problem with the distance, but a slight problem with the accuracy. Aspley 0-2-2. Canberra yet to score. 5.5 gone in the first quarter.
Aspley dominating possession so far in this match and very much keeping the ball locked in their forward half. Very still conditions at Phillip Oval today. Last time we were here, there was a strong breeze blowing to one end, but that's not the case this afternoon as we see the ball go out of play on the half-back flank for the Canberra Demons. It'll be thrown in just next to that new electronic scoreboard, which tells us that Aspley leads by 2 behinds. We've gone nearly 6 minutes in this first quarter as Milne and Spencer prepare to go at it in ruck again. Milne worked his way to the front, but Spencer knocked it down from the back. It was out for Swallow. Couldn't quite run onto it, and now the Demons are able to work the ball out into defence. But again, they're going to struggle to get the ball beyond halfway, the Demons, and Aspley win the footy. They go into attack yet again. 2-on-2 contest at full forward, and the Demons do well to get back in numbers and knock it over for a rush behind. 3 behinds to start the afternoon for Aspley. They want to make the most of their dominance early. They're 3 behinds, the Demons yet to score.
Now, last time we saw a visiting side here, it was the Sydney Swans, and they racked up 9-14 for the afternoon. At one stage, they were 2 goals 10. So accuracy for the visiting sides, not necessarily a big positive at the moment, as we see Groves with the ball for the Aspley Hornets.
And Canberra just unable to get the ball out of defence at the moment. When they are getting those long kicks out, they're being turned over, and Aspley really need to make the most of these opportunities. Aspley
running the changes as well there. They've just run 4 off and 4 on. But we'll focus on the goal attempt here from Gavin Gross. He kicks from just outside 50, and it's another one off to the right. Are we sure there's next to no breeze out there? Because that's been, 4 out of 4 off to the right.
I'm convinced it's very still, Chris, and it's certainly not the strong wind that the Demons have played in over the past fortnight as Baker kicks into Martin. So can the Demons move the ball out a little bit quicker this time? Martin goes to Bud, an inclusion this week for the Canberra side. They made 4 changes. Bud gave it to Baker, back to Bud. And now Bud's kick towards the wing. It's meant for Owen Orban, another inclusion this week. Fulford's there too. The ball goes over the boundary line and it'll be thrown in just in front of our broadcast position, just the Hornets side of the wing here at Phillip Oval. Aspley leading by 4 points. Milne and Spencer will expect them to do virtually all the ruck work today, with the Canberra second ruckman Nathan Richards dropped during the week. Milne gets in front of Spencer, but Spencer just too strong. Knocked it to the forward of the pack, but Maguire, the first to get there for Canberra. His little kick is towards Carr, but it goes out of bounds on the full in front of Aspley's interchange, and Aspley with a free kick here.
Aspley could have given it to any one of those players on the interchange bench, couldn't they? They had all of them all lined up. Bring the ball back into play. They'll work it down the grandstand side here at Phillip Oval, and it'll land just outside 50. Pack forms off the hands. Perhaps Blake Nellis getting the best of it. That may have gone out of bounds. It is indeed, despite the best attempts of Connor Stackelberg to keep it in play, and boundary umpire ruling that it had gone over the line. We'll get a throw in. Boundary umpires this afternoon: Ben Feely, Matt Thompson and Connor Nakan, and the goal umpires Kim Schultz and Kiara Briody, as we see the ball come back into play now from the grandstand side. Fairly decent old throw-in. Tap down is won by the Demons, but it only gets as far as Mitch Hardy. He's brought to ground.
We've got an umpire down on the wing here, Chris, and he looks to be quite seriously hurt. The other umpires come out. Now some of the trainers making their way onto the ground, and an umpire looking in quite a bit of pain at the moment.
Now, I didn't see what happened there. As mentioned before, Eddie, there's that post in the commentary box, and would you believe it, he's right behind it. I don't know whether you called it or...
it seems like he just slipped, Chris.
We'll wait and see here.
There is a little divot sort of there on the field, on that wing position, and he looks like the umpire has perhaps lost his footing and then knocked his head as he's fallen to ground.
We saw one of the players come in and actually put the arms up to say we might need a stretcher here.
He's on his feet now, but he does look a little groggy, and it looks like the umpire will make his way off the oval.
So I don't know whether we've got a spare field umpire or what will happen here. We'll keep an eye out for it. Is that Nick McGuinness coming off? I'm just trying to work out which umpire it is. Anyway, we'll wait and see how many umpires we've got. So we've got 2 out there in the field at the moment.
As we have a restart.
Dean, is it? Dean Garraway is the one who's come off as the ball comes back into the play in the Hornets forward line.
Jake Spencer slapped it forward, but it was intercepted by Baker, who gave it to Milne. Milne's coughed up the footy. Nellis went in hard there for Aspley. We'll have another ball up just near the boundary line outside 50 for the Canberra Demons as we sort of get past this very unusual scene, which you don't often see, an umpire having to be taken from the ground. Spencer thumps it forward again. There's another big pack of players over the ball. Martin lays a good tackle for Canberra, and we'll get a stoppage inside forward 50 for Aspley.
You keep your eye on the play, Eddie. I'll just keep my eye on the rather unusual scene of an umpire undergoing a head injury assessment in one of the dugouts on the boundary line here for a minute.
Powell has the ball for the Demons. He's brought to ground in a 2-man tackle, and we'll get yet another ball up just inside 50 for the Hornets, who lead by 4 points. We're yet to see a goal at Phillip Oval this afternoon. We've gone nearly 11 minutes in the first quarter. Spencer knocked it down again. It comes to Payne, who's been very busy early, and Payne spots up a target at full forward, and Aspley now with a real chance to get their first goal of the afternoon through Brandon Batchelor with another shot on goal.
Well, what's Batchelor got here?
He missed to the right earlier, but the Demons just struggling to get the ball beyond halfway. The Hornets getting a lot of repeat entries, and now with their 5th shot on goal through Brandon Batchelor. He's
at fairly close range. He'll kick from about 30, just slightly off to this side. But these ones really are the ones you should eat for breakfast. Oh, and isn't that always the way?
Well, again, they've missed to the right. Now, we are insisting that there's no breeze, but maybe just a tiny zephyr blowing across the ground could be the only explanation for 5 shots on goal now. Or, in fact, 1 was a rush behind, but the other 4 shots on goal all going through, missing away to the right to that far side as Owen Orban gets in good position. Couldn't quite complete the mark, but he knocked it down to Maguire, who feeds it to Bud. Bud's been getting busy early. One of those inclusions this week. He spots up Hardy on the wing. Hardy goes with a hand pass. Bud and Owen Orban left it for each other. Owen Orban went and got it at the end. Now an inside 50 for Canberra. Tom Fall can't quite take the mark. Joyce is there in defence for Aspley. Fires the hand pass out to Stanley. Stanley goes to Warren, who's been busy early in this match, and Ben Warren takes a mark in the back pocket.
That's the first inside 50 for the Canberra Demons here, and that's taken, 12 minutes. They really need to do something. In terms of attack, they're the better side across the course of the season than the Aspley Hornets. The Hornets have done really well in defence largely across the season. They've racked up a couple of big scores, but it's largely been the good defence that's made a big difference for them. It's the Canberra side that's probably the more reputation for being more attacking coming into the game this afternoon, but everything we've seen so far to the contrary. Inside 50s, 1 for Canberra, 5 for Aspley, and as we said, about 12 minutes gone. Ball comes back into play on the far side of the ground, and that'll be the second inside 50 if a Canberra player can get a hand on it. Well, that's not likely to happen because there's just far too many Demons, as the Hornets rather, as they work the ball around to our grandstand side of the ground. Big push there from Fulford. And, that's probably about the best that the Canberra Demons could expect out of that. Lonnie Hampton it was who had the ball, was sent over the boundary line by Fulford, and it'll be a throw-in in the half-forward flank for the Canberra Demons. That building in the background, by the way, a new cricket centre that's been constructed here in Canberra as well, so there'll be cricket played here. Almost traditional footy and cricket sharing a ground here in the inner south of Canberra as the ball goes into the path of Maguire. Maguire hand pass across now finds Osborne. Osborne, he's managed to offload to Angus Baker, and wouldn't you know it, their first chance on goal straight between the big sticks, and suddenly the home side, they're in front. They've got a goal, 1 goal, 6 to Aspley. No goals, 5 behinds. 5.
And it's noticeable, Chris, that goal was set up by a good hit out from Cam Milne, and Spencer not doing the ruck for Aspley on that occasion meant Milne was able to go up, win a clear, decisive hit out to a teammate, and now Angus Baker, who we don't often see in the forward line, able to run forward and slam through a goal. And how often do you see it when one side misses 5 opportunities at one end, the other side with their first opportunity is able to break through, and suddenly the Demons, who have struggled over the first 14 minutes of this match, find themselves 1 point in front.
Could be a real arm wrestle here this afternoon. The last time we saw these sides play here was against the Sydney Swans, and I think the superior fitness of that Swans reserve side really told the difference in the end. So in terms of fitness, you'd expect two sides much more evenly matched this afternoon. Bounce down in the middle of the ground, maybe recaught. No, just stays inside the circle for Spencer to get a hand on it for the Hornets, and now he gets the ball back, turns it around his outside. Oh, there's only blue and yellow jerseys, bar one player in there, and that one player was Stackelberg. He got it, but it's the Demons in numbers as it comes across to Highmore. Highmore over to the far side of the field now. Maguire, and no, it's
Richardson.
Was it Richardson over there? Oh, he's in the 40. That's right, he's in 44 this afternoon. Puts the ball further forward. Slinging tackle. Play on, says the umpire, and there's plenty of players back for the Hornets as it goes way over the far side of the ground. And in for another, it'll be another throw in. About as far as you can possibly get from us here at Footy Park in Phillip. The ruckmen are ready for it. We wait to see Spencer versus Milne, and it goes completely over the top of them. Hornets come away with it. Quick hand pass, but it's the Demons. Oh, geez. Fumble football, ball coming into the forward line. As we wait and see, good attempt at mark, but no, still on the ground. Waiting to see coming in over the top once again is Fulford. He makes a nuisance of himself to the opposition defence. Kick comes across the face of goal, and it is now out over the boundary line for a throw in front of the Cricket Centre southern end, Woden end of Football Park or Phillip Oval.
Canberra playing with a bit of renewed energy after that opening goal. You mentioned fitness, Chris, and the Demons have struggled in last quarters over the past few weeks. They capitulated to lose by more than 100 points to Southport. They were overrun here by the Swans after leading by 4 goals at half-time, and last week conceded 5 goals to 1 in the final quarter against Sydney Uni. As we see another ball up inside 50 here for the Canberra Demons, leading by 1 point, more than 16 minutes played. Quick throw up there from the umpire. Both ruckmen got hands on it. It came to Payne. Payne with a speculative hand pass towards half-back. Baker coming up the ground again for Canberra. Lays a good tackle, and we'll see another stoppage just outside the forward 50 for the Canberra Demons, going to that Woden end of the ground in this first quarter. They haven't had much of the attacking, but they are starting to dominate the past couple of minutes as Spencer wins the hit out decisively, but Hardy gets there first for Canberra. Feeds it back to Klemke. Klemke, the playing coach, goes inside 50, but getting across and taking a mark is Gross for Aspley. Dishes off to Warren. Warren goes with a kick towards Hayden, who takes the mark in the right back pocket for the Hornets. Just stops, treads water for a moment, now goes with a low ball. Stevens in a good position there for Canberra, juggles the mark, played on by hand to Richardson, and now it's turned over again with Warren, getting a lot of the ball early for Aspley. Just goes short to Payne. Payne and Warren and Swallow. We're expecting to see a lot of them in the middle today for Aspley, and it'll be a challenge for Mitch Maguire and Isaac Taylor to try and counter them as the Hornets move the ball to the outer wing. Just a slower build-up this time, trying to absorb some of the pressure that the Demons have been applying in the last few minutes. Hayden has the ball on defensive 50 now for Aspley. Demons doing well to set up and to shut down most of the options as they go to the wing. That's a good kick and a good mark by Ives coming off the long lead. So still defensive side of the wing here, the Hornets. Just struggling themselves for the moment to get the ball into attack as Ives goes long down the boundary line. It's towards Spencer, but Paik was in best position. Milne did well to just nudge Spencer out of the contest, and the Demons have won the footy back with Powell dishing off by a hand to Baker. Now a kick into the middle. And another chance for the Demons to go forward.
They do indeed go forward. Oh, big juggling and goes to ground off the hands of Mitch Hardy. Does well to actually regain possession. Gets through the traffic. Offloads. Finds Moline. Lucas Moline then over to, is that Harry Carr in the bottom of the pile? It is Harry Carr, and he's wrapped up as quick as he gets his hands on the ball. Goes to ground. So it'll be a ball up. Good news for umpire Dean Garraway. He's back out there on the ground now. So after that early knock to the head, after he fell down, he's back out there. I'll tell you what, there's a few players losing their footing out there. I just wonder, we haven't had any real rain here in Canberra in the past few days. I wonder whether they've had the sprinklers on here at Phillip Oval, because there do seem to be a few players who've lost their footing, as well as one umpire this afternoon. We've got another ball up, just outside the attacking 50. Milne copped a bump on the way through, but actually managed to get a hand on it, but it's only gone as far as the Hornets, who now rebound, and they've got players in space if they can move the ball quickly. Taken by Luca Mason on the centre wing position, grandstand side. He goes short. Easy mark there to Stackelberg. Stackelberg now waits for a few players to come up the field, and now it's a more congested forward line. There's also a few more defenders in. Shot has cleared every one of them. Spencer probably the best position to get it, but he can't get there in time. His lack of speed shown up, and instead it is now the Demons who'll work it around on the grandstand side again through Paik. Paik has, waiting for it, Budd. Riley Budd, not a name we've seen in a Canberra jersey, but certainly a name we've seen plenty of, but instead they decide to go back around the other side. Quick 1-2 and the ball comes back to Paik. Now he goes for the clearing kick. Not the best of options, because as you can see, he's turned it over once again. And now we've got, having seen the forward line completely deserted just a few minutes ago, now we've got everyone in the game in the forward half for the Hornets. Ball goes to ground, picked up there by Ives. Ives has a man outside, well, not called as a mark, called to play on, and so we see a snapshot. And would you like to take a guess at the result of the snapshot? If you were saying away to the right, you'd be absolutely spot on. But we've got a tied game once again, albeit in a very unusual fashion. The Canberra Demons have had one scoring shot for a goal. The Aspley Hornets have had 6 scoring shots, well, 5 scoring shots and a rush behind for their 6 points, as we see the Demons make an absolute meal of bringing the ball back into play, and they're very lucky to only pay the price of 1 point and lose the lead there, Eddie.
Yes, the less said the better about that kick in there from Canberra. Martin,
the look of horror on your face there at what was going on. Martin
goes to Carr in the back pocket. Carr goes with a high kick. It's intended for Milne. Got in front of Spencer. Couldn't complete the mark, but Owen Orban roved the pack. Gives it to Osborne. Osborne needs to pick the ball up, and he does. Absorbs the contact. Now he's tackled. Just gets the hand pass away, but it spills to Payne for Aspley. Payne with a kick towards half forward. There's that man, Mason, the late inclusion. Couldn't take the mark. Martin is there for Canberra. Gives the hand pass to Klemke. Klemke goes with a short kick for Stevens. Stevens finds Milne. Milne now goes with a long hand pass for Budd. Budd now just a short kick for Powell. This is a good, slow, steady build-up by the Canberra Demons. perhaps unlucky not to get a 50-metre penalty there for a bit of late contact after the mark. Harry Carr goes with a long ball towards the goal square. Hardy can't take the mark. The umpire's paid a free. It'll go Aspley's way in defence, and it'll be Jordan Arnold to take the free kick. He just dishes off by hand to Gross. Gross goes with a high ball, but he's turned it over to Baker. So Angus Baker getting busy early for the Canberra Demons and pushing up the ground rather than spending too much time in defence. Goes inboard to Powell. Virtually every player in the Demons' forward half of the ground as Powell goes for Bruce. Bruce couldn't complete the mark. It spills the way of Giles for Aspley. Now a short kick towards Beardsall, but it's knocked away from him. Comes to Vardaniger for the Demons, who gives it back to Baker. Baker goes into the corridor, spots up Bud. Bud's kick is smothered by Stackelberg, and Stackelberg wins the footy. Now a chance for Aspley to rebound as he gave it off to Giles. Giles went to Gowers, rising star nominee this season for Aspley. Now we see Coughlin with the ball on the wing, back to Gowers, and now Toy in the corridor. So Reece Toy just waits, goes behind the mark, goes with a kick towards the half-forward flank. What will the umpire say here? He's paid the mark Canberra's way to Jared Osborne at defensive 50. Gives it off straight away, and now a chance for the Demons to run and carry. Klemke takes the ball, gives it to Osborne. Osborne goes for a bit of a run, then with a long kick towards half-forward. Canberra players in pretty good position. It will come their way. Stevens is probably the target inside 50, but the kick wasn't great, and Henry Joyce takes the mark for Aspley.
Indeed, another attack cut off in its prime by the Hornets, and now they come around the wide on the grandstand side again. Hampton, I think that may have been touched off the boot. Owen Orban was the man who was the best poised for it, but he couldn't get a handle on it, so off hands, and now the Hornets side take the ball back into their forward territory. Blake Nellis, there's two Nellises out there for the Hornets this afternoon. Blake in 7 and James in 25, and there is James now, so it's Nellis to Nellis. Nellis squared, if you like, but only as far as the Demons in defence once again. They've dropped an extra man back, I think. Well, they're dropping everyone back now. It's end-to-end stuff here. That was Highmore. They go across the ground. Dangerous play. It was a 2-on-1, but the Demons have come away with it. Could go short to Taylor. Instead, they go slightly longer to Owen Orban. It's over his head. Picked up by Warren, the captain for the Hornets, and he's having an absolute blinder so far this afternoon, setting them up, and it's just the very strong Canberra defence that means they're not further behind at the moment. Well, that and the Hornets' inaccuracy. Powell picks it up off the ground. He's got a man in short in Maguire. Maguire takes the mark. Now he's got a chance to let things settle down for a moment. Could come to Pake on the grandstand side. That's where he's looking. He's got a couple of options now. And it's the two men with the headbands for the Demons who could have raffled it off. It's Pake who winds up with it. And then he puts it up into the path of Oakes, who's the other man with the headband. But I don't think Oakes was looking for it. And so it's been another turnover. The Hornets go back into attack via Toy. Toy pops it into the path of Blake Nellis. Nellis with a snap on goal. And he's, well, for the sake of variety, missed off to the left. 0-8-8 now for the Hornets. The Demons 1 goal 6. Bizarre scoreboard this afternoon and a very, very odd-looking game of football so far.
I don't know if there's some sort of Bermuda Triangle on this ground, Chris, but away teams, in the 2 matches we've seen here this season, the away teams have really struggled with their goal kicking. 8 behinds to Aspley. We saw the Sydney Swans kick 1 goal 10 in a quarter of football here a fortnight ago. Was Swallow, the former North Melbourne skipper. They won't miss this time, will they? They don't. Blake Nellis with the first goal of the day for Aspley.
Well, it took its time, and I guess Blake Nellis was one of the likely candidates for it. He's had a couple of goes inside the forward 50 and finally gets it there. Speaking about inside 50s, has that evened up a little bit? Let's have a look. For Aspley, 10 for the Demons. Well, the Demons are up to 7 now, so after it was 5-0 at one stage. But really, the Demons have been, I think, well, we used this word a couple of weeks ago, profligate. They've been wasteful, Eddie, a couple of weeks ago with their possession, and we've seen them turn it over far too many times already this afternoon.
Yeah, they have settled back into the game over the past 10 minutes or so, but Aspley making something from not much there and probably getting reward for effort, and that scoreboard now, well, it's still not a pleasing scoreboard for Aspley, 1 goal 8, but it's probably, I guess, a margin that they deserve to be ahead by.
They do indeed. 25 and a half gone as the bounce down in the middle of the park is tapped away by Milne, not terribly far. And it's Taylor who tries to run away with it, but he's wrapped up very quickly. Umpire will have another bounce. About 10 metres into the Hornets half of the field. This time, big punch from Spencer, and it goes to Matthew Payne. Payne, his kick is just wildly into the forward line, and there's plenty of players down there, including Batchelor. Batchelor goes short, back into the field of play, and is it Giles over there? It is. Giles has the ball. Now, he's going to have a shot, and this will be interesting because this one is in about the deepest pocket on the ground, although there's not a lot of difference between them. But he's in the deep pocket right in front of the scoreboard.
You're spot on, Chris, with the way the Demons have used the ball out of defence. They've turned it over too often, and the Hornets have missed too often. That kick again, missing to the right.
1 goal, 9, 15, the Hornets, and of those 9 behind, 7 of them have gone to the right. One's gone to the left and one was rushed. And the Canberra Demons are 1 straight goal, 6, and there's still a chance to go in at quarter time with a lead if they can be quick up the ground and, well, hang on to the ball would be helpful. They've given it away again. That was Warren who picked it up and just turned it around for the Hornets, and now they've got plenty of options in the forward line, and that would be, is that Toy who's come out? It is
Stackelberg.
Oh, Stackelberg, it's who's picked it up. What is he, about 25 out when he's got it, and he's kept running, so he'll be taking a shot from maybe about 30, again on an angle.
And he's looked good today, Stackelberg, stepping up a bit with their leading goal scorer, the late omission today, Jonathan Freeman. The Aspley forward line functioning pretty well. They just haven't been able to get the ball through the big sticks.
They really have a lot of players who've been racking up possessions already. As the shot comes in from Stackelberg and comes across to the left. So, well, the Swans did it a few weeks ago, as you just mentioned, Eddie. They kicked 1 goal, 10 in a quarter and managed to win the game. So maybe the Hornets have taken a leaf out of the Swans book, and the Demons dicing with death as they put the ball into the path of Highmore, and it only just stays in their possession. They're working it very close to the boundary line. Waiting underneath it was Vardaniga, and he goes to ground. He's picked up the benefit of the mark and the free kick, so he'll just play on with a short chip infield. A little bit of confusion as Angus Baker is the man who gets it. Also charging in on it was Owen Orban, and now this is just the Demons for the last few weeks, isn't it, Eddie? We've seen them really not clear on what to do to get the ball out of defence there, and they very nearly coughed it up to the Hornets one more time. We'll have to have a look and see whether we can get a quantity on how many times they've turned it over this afternoon. But in short, far too many. At quarter time, it's the Aspley Hornets 1-10-16. The Canberra Demons a solitary scoring shot, 1 goal, 6. On a day where, if you looked at that ordinarily after the match, you'd say it must have been blowing a gale and absolutely bucketing down. But as you can see, the sun's come through. If we can get a shot of the trees in the background, you'll see that they are virtually motionless. I don't really have an explanation for why it's such an odd scoreline, but that's what we've got.
Yeah, an error-riddled first quarter from both sides. A lot of that game played between the arcs in the past 10 minutes with both sides sort of struggling to get the ball out of defence and into attack, but Aspley clearly the better side in that first quarter. 1 goal, 10, 11 scoring shots to 1. The goal scorers for Canberra, Angus Baker, and for Aspley, Blake Nellis, as the Hornets take a 10-point lead into quarter time. Well, we're here at Phillip Oval for round 21 action, live on NEFL TV, thanks to our broadcast partner, Bar TV. This is round 21, proudly supported by Elastoplast. And at quarter time, the Aspley Hornets 1-10-16 lead the Canberra Demons 1-6. Eddie Williams and Chris Coleman with you here in Canberra. And Chris, we mentioned the Aspley midfield and the midfield battle that would be a challenge today for Canberra, with Canberra's best midfielder, Mitch Maguire, going up against Payne, Warren and Swallow. And Payne and Warren dominating that first quarter. 9 disposals for Matt Payne, 8 disposals, all kicks for Ben Warren. Sam Martin, the leading possession winner for the Demons with 8 touches. Angus Baker, I was impressed with. He was the Demons' goal kicker, 7 disposals for him. Also 7 for the playing coach, Cade Klemke. And for Riley Budd from the Giants Academy, a rising star with the Giants in the NEFL in Canberra colours today. He's been a good inclusion for the Demons, but both sides just struggling with a few skill errors early, particularly Canberra, and Aspley just not able to kick the ball through the goals.
No, well, the numbers don't read terribly well from a Canberra Demons perspective, but on the other side of the coin, for the Aspley side, they'll be relatively happy with everything bar their accuracy. They could have put this game to bed by quarter time. So it's how do you rebound from this now? Do Aspley just take a little bit more time in the forward line? Although, again, many of their shots were set shots, so you've got to wonder what was going on. Maybe the CSIRO headquarters not far from here, only about, 15 k's away. Maybe they've been working on some sort of force field, Eddie, and firing up between the goalposts whenever it's been an Aspley shot. I don't know, but for Canberra, it's really, I think, a case of just forget about the first quarter and come out now and really just play your own game. That's what they haven't really looked like. For mine, the last couple of times I've seen them, they haven't really looked like they were playing their own game up against sides that have been playing a little bit more free-flowing football. But the quarter-time huddles have broken up. The Demons out there, a little bit of a conversation going on in the centre of the park there, being led by Lucas Milne. The Hornets, they've still got a coach out there, actually. That's interesting, having a chat with
well, the Demons have a playing coach, so perhaps one of the Aspley coaches is keen to have a kick as well. Cade Klemke looked pretty good in that first quarter, but the Demons' defence absolutely under siege. They held up pretty well, although conceding 11 shots is not what they were after. Only conceding 1 goal is not such a bad thing. The Demons just not able to get the ball towards Fall and Bruce often enough in that Canberra forward line. We mentioned Riley Budd, one of the inclusions. Another inclusion for Canberra today is Guy Richardson, making his club debut. Missed last season with a shoulder injury, but does have some NEFL experience with the Giants, and the Demons looking for something out of those inclusions as they try to get back into this match as we start the second quarter.
Siren has sounded here at Phillip Oval. Ball goes down, and now it's the visiting Hornets going to the right of your screen. But they win the tap out and take it to the left initially. But now the signal is plenty of players up forward, and there are indeed plenty of players up forward. Also plenty of players in defence for Canberra. They spoil each other there. Martin and Klemke, who ran into each other, they've tapped the ball out around the ground to Maguire. Maguire then finds Moline. Moline turns around, pops it into the path of Highmore. Highmore back to Moline, and now they work it across field. Angus Baker, short pass. Who's he got? Well, nobody. It's probably best for Jackson Allen from the Hornets. He can't control it. Pack over the top. Ball comes free just after the umpire's whistle, and Nick McGuinness will run in for another bounce. Centre wing, far side of the ground here at Phillip Oval. Sun's come through. Beautiful afternoon for football here now in the nation's capital. Ball up, and the tap away is won there by the Hornets, and it goes to Payne. They bring it back around inside the forward. No, just falls short indeed. Umpire, I think, is going to pay a mark to the Demons, and he has paid it over there. In fact, there was a conversation between the 2 umpires in that part of the ground, and now calling for it in the middle of the park was Osborne. He was on his own, still is. Just wait and see which way the Demons go. They've gone the short pass on the far side. They did this against the Swans a couple of weeks ago, and it didn't work out terribly well, and they kept doing it, and it kept not working out terribly well, and lo and behold, now it's gone out over the boundary line on the far side. History repeating itself, Eddie Williams?
And they did it last week against Sydney Uni, Chris, using that outer side of the ground. Look, it shouldn't make too much difference today. There's no great breeze, and there's no need to use the protected grandstand side, but perhaps the Demons need to take a more direct route through the corridor as Maguire kicks towards Fall. We haven't seen too much of Fall, but he is lively when he gets near the footy. Wheels onto the left foot, kicks towards full forward. Can Aaron Bruce run onto it? The ball will just evade him and go over the boundary line. We'll have a throw in right right next to the Canberra Demons right behind post. An early opportunity for them to get on the scoreboard in this second quarter. We've gone just over 2 minutes. The Demons won straight 6. Aspley won 10-16. Yet to see a score in this second quarter as Spencer and Milne prepare to go at it in ruck. Spencer won it down again, but it spills to Powell. Jack Powell with a flying, tumbling shot on goal is out of bounds on the full. So a free kick to Aspley in defence. And Andrew Swallow, former North Melbourne player, more than 200 games with the Kangaroos in the AFL. He just hands it off to Allen to take the relieving free kick next to the behind post.
I'm often bemused when a side is really struggling and they're running the ball around the wing, why they don't say, well, let's run it direct, let's shorten up the game a little bit and go up the middle of the park. But instead, the Demons have persisted with going around the wing. They've got the ball back now. Plenty of players in there. I reckon that's Hardy who's got it. Quick hand pass. Comes over the outside, being tapped forward and tapped forward again. Is that Powell? Maguire. And he's lost the ball over the boundary line. And has it gone over on the full? No, the umpire is going to throw it in. I was just trying to work out whether it would bounce this side or that side. We've got the throw in to take place. So Canberra still a chance to actually add to their score.
As Tom Fall comes from the ground, Chris, and just looks to be favouring one leg slightly, and in fact he's walking off the field of play and he's going straight down to the Canberra Demons' rooms, which would be a big loss after he was their dominant player last week with 5 goals.
Well, he's been one of the players they've really relied on in recent weeks, and as we mentioned earlier, hasn't lost a lot of his form, as some of his teammates really does seem to have tailed off their form later in the season. Ball up to take place now, adjacent to the centre square. Canberra win it. And finally showing a little bit of run and a little bit through the forward line. Waiting for it up there is Stevens. No, it goes longer than him, and a good strong mark taken by Aaron Bruce. He is a good marking player. Just set himself there over the top of his opponent, reached up. I think he's got a good head and shoulders over his opponent there. They're a very tall side at the moment too, this Canberra Demons side. This will be a fairly easy one, you would hope, for the home side. Using the ball better so far in this second quarter, generating more opportunities, and if you get it into those forwards, to Bruce, to Fall, I know Fall's just gone off the ground, they are experienced players that are able to make the most of it, and the captain looking for his first goal. Bruce puts it to the right, it curves back just a little bit, unlike the shots from the Aspley Hornets, which started right and stayed right, and the Canberra Demons get their second goal for the afternoon. They close the gap to 4 points, 2 straight goals, 12. Aspley won 10-16, but the question now for Canberra is, if they've lost Tom Fall, how do they cover that? Because he really is one of their more determined players, and a big factor for them as the game goes on. Yeah, it's a challenge. He and Bruce are probably their focal points up forward as far as tall and medium-sized players are concerned, and they often swing Aaron Bruce back into defence at critical moments in the game. So if Fall doesn't return, they obviously won't be able to put Bruce back into the forward line. They've only got one ruckman today in Milne, so they can't rest him in the forward line, and the options for tall targets inside 50 are looking pretty thin for Canberra at the moment, so they need their smalls and their midfielders to try and get on the board. Ball down in the middle of the park, we wait, and the tap, probably Spencer getting first hand on it, but it bounced off the hand of Milne, but it goes well forward for the Demons, rebounding straight away. Coming into it there for Aspley was Swallow, but he couldn't get it. It was a teammate who got there and was dispossessed. Umpire says not in a legal manner, holding the ball or illegal disposal. So Milne for the Demons now takes the long ball, and the home side into attack once again. Far side of the ground through Richardson. He's probably too far out to score. He realises that, puts it in short into the path of a teammate who can't grab it, and it goes free. Hand pass away for James Nellis now for the Hornets. They work it around outside 50. Plenty of blue and yellow jerseys here. That's back to Richardson again. He goes again short, looking for someone in the goal square. It's on the ground. Fulford charges in. Could have been a throw. It was a hand pass, says the umpire, but it's instead a tackle, and at the top of the square we'll get a ball up. Starting to play a little bit faster footy, the Demons, than they were in the first quarter, and a chance here, if they can get the right result from the bounce, to take the lead. Getting the ball in quickly to Aaron Bruce seems to be the game plan at the moment, and he nearly completed that mark. Milne and Spencer. Spencer knocks it down. Powell over the top of the pack will get another ball up at the top of the goal square for Canberra, trying to get their second goal of the quarter to try and take the lead over Aspley, which is quite remarkable given the Hornets' dominance in the first term. It's thrown up again. Milne and Spencer. Milne probably got hands to that. Fulford's lurking. He's always dangerous. Ben Fulford going in really hard in that contest, and we'll get another ball up. Neither side giving an inch. Around 10 metres out
from the Demons' goal, as we see every single player in the Canberra forward half of the ground, and plenty of those right around this contest. As Spencer took it out of the ruck almost, got it away to Swallow. Swallow with a kick towards half-back. Bruce gets there for Canberra, gives the hand pass back to Paik. Paik shrugs off the tackle and gave it to Baker, who gives it back to Paik, who's caught, gets it out to Carr. Carr is caught as well. He's met by 3 Hornets. We'll have a ball up right at centre half forward for Canberra. So Aspley just edging the ball out of defence. They've worked it another 40 metres back as the umpire gets ready to throw it up. Milne and Spencer make their way to the contest, but we've got a blood rule. And this is bad news for Canberra because the ruckman, Cameron Milne, is jogging off the ground. Harry Carr's putting his hand up to do the ruck against Spencer. I don't fancy his chances of getting the hit out.
Good luck.
And it looks like Tom Highmore, or in fact Mitch Hardy, will run onto the ground to replace Cameron Milne. As Hardy tries to make his way to the contest, the umpire says, we're just about ready to go. Canberra trailing by 4 points, 7.5 minutes gone in the second quarter as the umpire throws the ball up. So Carr and Spencer... Carr did his best, but Spencer won it down. Moline sharks it for Canberra, gets a hurried kick towards Bruce at full forward. Bruce can't quite pick it up. Bursting through his gross for Aspley, spills the way of Hayden. Eventually Carr comes out of the pack, trying to get it towards Oakes. Oakes' kick is smothered. Fulford's there for Canberra. Powell, Spencer laying a good tackle on Powell, will get another ball up inside 50 for the Demons.
I'm not sure what the aim of the exercise was for Canberra there. 20 metres out, and instead of going for goal, turned around and put it into a man who was in arguably a worse position. The update on Milne, by the way, is a cut on his left shoulder that is going to need to be attended to. Ball, snap on goal from about 15 out, is through for a point to the left of the uprights, and I can see now Milne back on the ground, and he's just checking that left shoulder. I think they'll just wait for that one to heal over. It's not going to need stitches, but it's going to need just a couple of minutes there so that he can get out. They'll probably got a band-aid on it shortly. Ball back into the field of play. Around the far side of the ground go the Aspley Hornets. In the blazing green boots was Gowers with a short ball. Now he gets it onto a teammate there. It's a Mason, I reckon, on the far side, just short of the centre wing position. He hesitates, looks for someone up forward. They've had to wait. Both sides have been guilty of this afternoon to see stacking the half of the field that the ball is in. So there's plenty of players racking up plenty of kilometres. The kick from Mason, well, it doesn't achieve a great deal. It's punched out over the boundary line. It puts them into their attacking half of the field, but it'll be a throw-in, and boundary umpire has to reach over the fence to get it. There aren't any spectators watching there, although there are a couple of people who are taking advantage of the car park outside the ground to just sit there in their cars and watch. And if you're watching with the feed running, so you've got your replays, your personal replays there in the TV, nice to have your company this afternoon, wherever you might be watching us, thanks to our broadcast partner, Bar TV, round 21 action on Neefle TV. Throw in, tap, back out over the boundary line, another throw in. Gotta love it, and that happens with in footy, Eddie.
Aspley not really being able to get the ball into attack at all in the first 10 minutes of this second quarter. Reasonably healthy crowd has built underneath our commentary position here at Phillip Oval, and enjoying what they're seeing in this quarter so far from the Canberra Demons as Carr and Spencer go at it in ruck again. Spencer winning it decisively as the Hornets work it towards half forward, but Osborne gets there for Canberra. Osborne gives it off to Carr. Carr back to Baker. Baker's kick finds Taylor on the outer side of the ground. Isaac Taylor goes for a little bit of a run, then turns inboard. That's a poor kick from Taylor. He's coughed it up to Hayden, and a chance now for the Hornets to get the ball into attack. They just wait a moment, and that gives the Demons a chance to get back in numbers. The kick was touched on the mark. Aspley still have a moment to recover. Another kick is smothered. Taylor sits underneath it, and Taylor just goes with a tumbling ball towards Fulford. Takes the mark in the centre of the ground, Ben Fulford. Now a chance for the Demons to go into an open forward line. Tom Highmore works his way up the ground. Marks at the attacking edge of the centre square. He's going to go into the corridor. Goes inside 50, and Hardy from the side. Mitch Hardy with a strong mark inside 50 for Canberra, and a chance for them to string together back-to-back goals.
Well, what do you say about that? Hardy just comes in, flies, puts his own personal safety very much in the back seat and just flies in late from the side, grabs it, and gives himself a really good chance to put his side in front here.
Mitch Hardy, one of those Canberra players that have been in strong form throughout the middle of the season, put on a clinic against the Gold Coast, but has probably dropped away a bit in the past few weeks. They need him to get on the scoreboard, especially if Tom Fall is missing. And Mitch Hardy puts it straight over the goal umpire's hat, and the Demons are in front. They're 3-1-19, Aspley 1-10-16.
The Demons held a lead earlier this afternoon. They gave it up, but they've got it back. It's still a very odd-looking scoreboard. The side with 4 scoring shots is leading the side with 11.
It's an odd game, Chris. We've seen an umpire go off injured. We've seen a blood rule because someone had cut their shoulder. And we're seeing a side that didn't have much of the ball for probably the first 20 minutes of the game, suddenly able to almost dominate the first 12 minutes of this quarter, and the Demons 3 points ahead. Inside
50s after 10 minutes, it was, 5-0 to the Aspley Hornets. It is now, as we reach, 12 minutes into the second quarter, 15-11 to Canberra. So that shows that they really have turned the weight of possession around, haven't used it necessarily as effectively as they would have liked, but they're getting more hand on the ball. They get the best of it again from the bounce, but unable to take a hot mark was Powell. He put it down, eventually comes through a couple, goes to Craven. Jasper Craven puts the Aspley side into attack, but it's bounced around. Jack Baker taps it to his own advantage, can't control it, and Blake Nellis instead turns around, has plenty of time to put the ball into attack, had a couple of teammates he could have gone long for, instead went for the short option, and it comes off hands and over the boundary line for a throw in. That'll be about 50 around from the Aspley Hornets goal. How close is it in terms of percentage? If right now, live ladder, you would have Aspley still holding on to third spot. If this was your final score this afternoon, the Demons would be up into fourth, so that would give them a home final. So that would be a truly bizarre outcome if that was the way it worked out. Percentage would be 107.9 for Aspley, 107.2 for the Canberra Demons. But that's how intriguingly poised this NEFL ladder is going into the finals as the Hornets go into attack. But once again, too many Demons jerseys. They'll work it around across the goal. That's Pake. He's got a couple of options. Long or short, goes long-ish. Probably not the best one. Bundled out of the way was Richardson. Ball comes off his hands as he rolls around on the turf, as does another teammate and an opponent. So it's kids in the sandpit. Ball over the boundary line. Throw in forward 50 grandstand side for the Aspley Hornets.
Hornets just looking a little flat in this second quarter, and the players we mentioned early, Warren, Payne, Swallow, not able to have as much of an influence so far in this term. As the umpire throws it in, Spencer is in front of Milne, slaps it out for Payne, but it missed him, taken by Oakes for Canberra. The runner sprints off the ground for Aspley before the ball gets there, and Stevens sharks the pack for the Demons. Has one bounce, just kicks forward for touch, I suppose, and I'll be interested to see what the umpire says. He says that's deliberate. And it probably was. It's a free kick going the way of Gross for the Hornets. Gross.
Probably was, but it's still a hard call. There's nobody down there.
Well, that's the thing, Chris. If you're kicking it to no one, you're sort of kicking it deliberately, aren't you? Toy there for Aspley. Gets the hand pass out, but good pressure by Highmore as they lock the ball in.
He kicked it anywhere, though. How did he kicked it down towards the goal?
Couldn't he have kicked it into the corridor?
Well, he should have. I'm not going to argue with that. I was saying they should have been doing that for weeks, and they haven't been. So.
I think under the current interpretation of the rule, that was a very correct decision. A tiny bit harsh, but I think the players know you've got to have, a genuine intent to keep the ball in play, and I'm not sure there was any genuine intent there. As the Hornets intend to take the ball forward, they get it towards the wing, and now looking to move the ball back inside 50.
Congratulations on using the word intent 3 times in 15 seconds too, Eddie. That's quite a linguistic feat. Now running into attack for the Hornets is Warren. He flies. He's at the back of a 2-on-1 contest. Ball on the ground, and he pulls it in underneath himself, then lets it go. Umpire refuses to use the whistle. Finally, he has to do it because Warren did pull the ball back in, even though he let it go. And he says that'll be a free kick to the Canberra Demons. Well, they had the numerical advantage. Owen Orban comes in short, calling for it, but he's immediately picked up. So Klemke has to work around the far side of the ground. Good body positioning from Stevens, but he can't use the ball. And it goes free again, picked up by the Hornets. Getting into the path of it is Toy. Toy now sends them back inside the forward 50. Warren's in there, decides to back out of the contest, and 2 Demons players effectively spoil each other. Ball goes free. Hand pass was into the path of Maguire and Hardy. It was Baker, Jack Baker, who had it. He's turning the ball again outside the 50, but the Hornets, they turn it around once again. They've almost as though they've built a Donald Trump-like wall just outside the 50. Comes in towards Batchelor, can't mark it. Ball on the ground, in dispute once again. Now, coming in from outside the 50, we've got a whistle for a throw in there. It was a hot hand pass. They got a whistle for a throw, which has spoiled it for Henry Joyce, who I think was poising himself to just run through the pack and go towards the goal. Instead, it's the Demons who bring the ball around to the grandstand side now. The man with the hardest to say name in a hurry, Connor Owen Orban. Short ball now. He finds Budd. Riley Budd can pause for a moment, does so, has to, because otherwise we get pinged for deliberate because there was no one down in front of the halfway line. Ball in the pack. Comes out through Paik. Paik then to Maguire. Maguire, right foot in towards the forward 50. No one able to mark. Comes off the hands as we see more dirt come up the ground as Stevens goes in for the mark. They must have had the sprinklers on here, Eddie, because I saw dirt fly up there as Stevens went for that mark. Ball comes off his hands and for a throw in deep in attack for the Demons.
Certainly has been very dry in Canberra, well, really the whole year, as it has been right around New South Wales and parts of Victoria and Queensland. We are expecting a few showers later this afternoon, and you can see overcast conditions. Not sure if the rain will get here before full time in this match, as we see another ball up to take place inside 50 for Canberra. They hold a 3-point lead, 17 and a half minutes gone in the second quarter. Really turning the tables a bit in this quarter, the Demons. Aspley yet to score, while the Demons have kicked 2 goals, 1. Again, a pack of players over the ball. Bruce and Taylor are there for Canberra. We'll see another stoppage inside the Demons forward line, and the ball has spent a lot of time inside that Demons forward line in this quarter. Spencer wins it down again. Hardy couldn't take it, but knocked it towards Maguire. Now the kick comes out towards the boundary line, and we'll see it thrown in. So yet another stoppage, and Canberra, if they're able to generate a clearance, the first possession, they could hit the scoreboard here, but it's tough for Cameron Milne this afternoon doing the ruck on his own up against Jake Spencer, a very experienced AFL campaigner with Melbourne, and Spencer took it out of the ruck there, kicks towards Warren. He was with Owen Orban. Neither of them could take the mark. Warren still trying to run on, but Owen Orban gets the ball, gives it to Maguire. Maguire runs to 50, kicks it towards Bruce. It'll bounce before it gets to him. Still an opportunity for Bruce to gather. He'll go off the right foot, Aaron Bruce, and he misses to the right. 3-2-20. Canberra, 1-10-16 Aspley.
Check the radar already. There are a couple of showers across to the northeast. They won't be a problem for us. There's one out to Yasway, which is maybe half an hour away, but it'll only be a brief shower if it does indeed make it across to us here. It is moving in our direction, but probably at half time would be a useful time for that rain to come.
Oh, great smother by Hardy.
Terrific stuff from him, because if not for the smother, it was the Aspley Hornets off to the races. Ball goes out over the boundary line, so it'll be a throw-in for the Demons. You can see the 50-metre arc just on this side of the umpire, so you know your geography. Northern end of the ground here at Phillip Oval. Used to be called Footy Park back in the day, as the Hornets get the best of it. Swallow turn around through a couple of sets of hands. Ball off the pack once again. Big punch from a flying Vardaniga. Comes down in front of the Hornets ruckman in Spencer. He can't control. Clearing kick. It doesn't go 15 for mine. Umpire says that, well, it doesn't matter because it's gone to ground. Kick comes through from Powell to try and put his side back into attack. Now onto it comes Reid Stevens. Stevens keeps the ball back in play. Now that may have been out on the full.
It is.
It is out on the full. Unlucky there for the Hornets, but it was one of those ones where the ball just landed on the player's foot as he was running towards the boundary line.
Now, Reid Stevens likes having shots from the boundary line. He kicked arguably the goal of the year last weekend from a similar position. Admittedly, that one was in general play and he dribbled it through along the ground. But he'll fancy his chances here, Reid Stevens. He starts virtually outside the field of the play in the gutter. And he'll be kicking from, 30 metres out, hard up against the boundary line. Stevens off the right. Misses to the left, misses to the near side. So Canberra now 3-3-21, holding a 5-point lead over the Hornets.
And where are we? 20 and a half gone in this second quarter, and the Demons, well, they haven't scored. They've done something remarkable here. They've shut down the Hornets, who haven't scored at all in this second quarter.
I'm still convinced there's no breeze, Chris.
I'm not going to argue with you. I am not going to argue with you, Eddie, because I can't see any sign of breeze, and I certainly didn't feel any as I was walking into to our commentary box earlier today. Hornets will bring the ball around the grandstand side now, I'd reckon, with Gross after having a flirtation with the other side. No, they go back around to the other side again. Waiting underneath it is Bruce. Oh dear, it was the Demons who were turning the ball over in a wasteful manner in the first quarter. The Hornets have done it a couple of times in this second term, and now it's Aaron Bruce. He's about 65 from home, so he'll put it up somewhere towards the goal square. Underneath is Powell waiting, doesn't quite get to him. It's off the hands of the pack, and another behind for the Canberra Demons. Rushed through, they'll go to 3-4-22. The Hornets 1-10-16, so we've got a 6-point game here. We could be level at half time. You never know. The Hornets go for the short kick in, and we saw the Demons make a meal of it at that end earlier in the game. The Hornets doing their best to match up, so anything you can do, I can do worse seems to be the motto this afternoon as Tom Highmore flies, pops it around on the inside now to Martin. Martin, short ball, good mark. Good courage shown by Richardson there. He would have heard footsteps behind him. Didn't turn into a contest, but gee, it's unnerving when you're waiting and you're taking the mark. You think, am I going to take this unopposed or am I going to get hit from behind as I go up? And Richardson will have a shot here.
We mentioned before this quarter, Guy Richardson, one of the inclusions for Canberra this week, on debut for the club, having had a bit of NEAFL experience with the Giants, looking for his first goal with the Canberra Demons.
Comes in, ball kick from just inside the 50, just to the left of the post. He puts it across to the right. It curves back a little bit, but not enough. And the kicking yips to the northern end continue with yet another behind at that end. In fact, there's been 15 behinds kicks this afternoon. They've all been at that end of the park. 3-5-23 the home side, the visitors 1-10-16, and the Hornets decide to go straight up the middle of the park. Long ball, mark taken by Stackenberg. He's got a few options, looks out to his right and sees Warren. Warren flies early, manages to somehow defy gravity and hang in the air for just a moment. Takes the mark while tangled up in amongst the long legs of Lucas Milne. It's taken a few moments for players to re-establish themselves. The Hornets skipper then goes inboard, pops it into the path of Matthew Payne. Now he's looking for options, decides to go into the forward pocket on the grandstand side. Long ball off the hands, picked up by Ives. Ives keeps it in play. Chasing in was Giles, but he couldn't get it, and the Demons will rebound once again. Now we've got play on for the advantage here. So the Demons with Taylor. Taylor then finds Powell. Powell, short ball, back to Taylor. Not the best of delivery. Now it's back to Powell with a marginally better delivery. Into the path of Oakes. Oakes puts the ball into the forward 50. There's not too many players there, and gee, there's that man again. Is there two of him out there? Benjamin Warren was up the other end of the field 10 seconds ago. Now he's in defence for the Hornets. Pops the ball into the path of Stanley as we wait now for play to just settle down, and Stanley goes further out into the half-back flank.
So Aspley just trying to take a bit of sting out of the game at the moment. The Demons doing well with some quick run and carry through the corridor. As we see a long ball to the wing, Paik was stuck behind, and it's an Aspley mark in front of that Canberra Demons logo on the outer wing. Aspley go into the corridor, but they've turned it over. Carr takes the mark, tries to give it to Oakes. It wasn't a very good hand pass. Allows the Hornets to come through and win the ball. Beardsall was in best position, gives the hand pass off. Now a kick towards full forward, towards the ruckman in Spencer. Osborne drops back into the hole. Couldn't quite juggle the mark. Tries to knock it out to Milne. Milne is tackled. He's brought to ground. And the umpire says we'll ball it up inside the right forward pocket for the Hornets. A rare foray forward for them in this second quarter. They are scoreless since quarter time. Aspley still stuck on 1-10-16, trailing by 7 points as plenty of players get inside 50 for this contest. And again, we see every single player in the Aspley forward half of the ground as a snap out of the contest misses to the left. So Aspley with their first score in the second quarter, but it's a behind. They tick over to 1-11-17, the Demons 3-5-23 as Baker goes with the quick kick into Maguire. Maguire quickly moves it to Taylor. Taylor goes back into the corridor. The kick's not great. Opportunity for the Hornets. Oakes did well to apply a bit of pressure. Klemke got a hand in. Aspley still win the ball, but Carr with a good tackle, and we'll have another ball up. Sorry, it was Martin with that tackle as we see another ball up inside 50 for Aspley.
Yeah, the Demons, they're making hard work of it for themselves at the moment, and Aspley a chance to retake the lead here as we see charging through Coghlan, puts it over to the far side of the ground. It's a good grab taken. Charging out from the goal square there is Connor Stackenberg. He's a man who's been very, very busy this afternoon. I reckon this will be about his sixth kick for the day. I'd like to run through who's scored the points for the Aspley Hornets this afternoon, but it'd take far too long to do that, so we'll just wait and see what Stackenberg can do from about 40 out, 45-degree angle, kicking to the Woden end of the park, and it goes across to the left. Okay, they missed to the right a few times, quite a few times in the first quarter. They're missing to the left, so I'm going to wonder if there's something that's pushing the ball to the east, Eddie. There's no wind, but there's got to be something. If they put this ground on a slope without us noticing.
You think there's a magnet or something, Chris?
Got to be something.
As Richardson takes the mark on the half-back flank, just gives it back to Martin, who's had a lot of the ball in this first half for Canberra. In fact, he's had a good past few weeks, Sam Martin. He goes out to Klemke, the playing coach, takes the mark between wing and half-back for the Demons. A lovely story in the Canberra Times this morning about Cade Klemke, who lost his father a number of years ago, but still has him in his memory. Goes with a kick that Spencer was probably in best position, but Hardy coming in again, taking a strong mark. He's stepped up since Tom Fall left the field. Now Baker goes with a long driving ball towards full forward. It goes over the head of Vardaniga. Couldn't quite drag it in. Vardaniga goes in hard again. He's taken by a number of Aspley players. Will have a ball up inside 50 for Canberra. 27 minutes gone, and I almost guarantee you, Chris, that within this crowd there will be a sizable portion of Matt Vardaniga's family. Always seems to have a good contingent, including last week in Sydney. A number of Matt Vardaniga's family members making up, I would say, almost half the crowd at Blacktown last weekend. As Aspley move the ball quickly out of defence, but it'll come back in again because Tom Highmore has taken the mark. Looks into the corridor, sees Klemke. Klemke goes inside 50. No mark to Oakes, but managed to knock it to the advantage of a teammate. Still a chance for Oakes. Oakes from 45, he's tackled. Not sure he got much of a disposal away. And now we'll have a ball up inside 50 for Canberra.
He was absolutely belted there, was Oakes. It was good, solid footy from the Hornets. Possibly could have expected a little more from it, but instead it's a ball up just inside the attacking 50 for the Demons, charging through. Plenty of Hornets players. And the kick and the push in the back. What have we got down this end?
So they're bringing the ball back rather than paying the downfield. Or yes, they are. They're bringing the ball back. The umpire says he was pushed before he kicked it rather than afterwards.
So it was Toy who copped the push in the back as he got the kick away. May have been better to actually just let the ball hit the turf there, but instead they go across the field now, and it's with Gross. Gross looking on the centre wing position, far side of the ground. And we get the flood again as the Hornets run to the right of your screen. Warren, busiest man in the football field, puts the ball inside the 50 for the for the Hornets. But again, it's the Demons with the ball. They made hard work of it, and there's the man who took the grab, or nearly had the grab a minute ago, in Pake. But they're not doing themselves any favours. The ball goes to ground. Now here he is again. Warren turns around, decides to have a snap from about 40 out. It just hangs in the air and hangs in the air, and it goes through for a point again on the eastern side. To the left, if you prefer. 5:23 for the home side. The Hornets 113-19. I've never seen 113-19. I don't think I've ever seen a scoreboard like that in senior footy.
No, it's quite bizarre. Chris, as Moline kicks the ball quickly out of defence towards a one-on-one contest. The ball's knocked away from Bruce. Powell's there as well. It's over the boundary line. We'll see a throw-in between wing and half-forward for Aspley. We have seen, the two games we've called together, Chris, have seen quite strange scoreboards. The Sydney Swans came here a fortnight ago and kicked terribly. I went up to the SCG earlier in the year to watch Geelong beat the Swans, which was a very enjoyable evening, except for the fact that Geelong nearly kicked themselves out of the game and somehow won with fewer goals. And at half-time, the Canberra Demons 3-5-23, taking a 4-point lead over Aspley, who are 1-13-19. Wasteful is the only way to describe the Aspley Hornets in this first half, but credit to the Canberra Demons. They've come from a 10-point deficit at quarter time. They've kicked 2 goals to nothing in that second quarter, and they've turned a 10-point deficit into a 4-point lead.
We'll come back in a few minutes here at Phillip Oval. We'll check out how the live ladder is standing. We'll bring you up to date with other scores that are happening in and around the Neefle this afternoon. Plenty still to come here. To use the old line from my days growing up in Melbourne, Eddie, we've got the close one here this afternoon. It is the Demons up by 4 points at half-time. Plenty of intriguing footy still to come. You are watching Round 21 action of the Neefle live on Neefle TV. And a huge thank you to our broadcast partner, Bar TV. Back with the second half soon here from Phillip Oval in Canberra.
Half-time here at Phillip Oval in round 21 of the NEAFL here on NEAFL TV, thanks to our broadcast partner Bar TV, and it's the Canberra Demons leading by 4 points over Aspley, 3-5-23 to 1-13-19. An incredibly inaccurate start to this match by the Hornets. Eddie Williams and Chris Coleman with you. Chris, in a moment we'll look at the implications of this game for the finals. This is the final home and away round of the season, and a home final is up for grabs this afternoon. But just looking at some of the stats to half-time, Lucas Moline, the leading disposal winner on the ground for Canberra with 15 disposals. Mitch Maguire starting to have more of an impact in that quarter with 14 disposals. Payne and Warren have been dominant for Aspley. 14 touches for Payne, 13 touches for Warren. And the Canberra defenders getting a lot of the ball and able to... Potentially they overused it early, but in that second quarter, using the ball really well, pushing up the ground. Paik and Martin with 12 disposals each, 11 for Klemke and 13 disposals for Highmore. The goal kickers in that first half, just the one for Aspley, Blake Nellis, while for Canberra, Aaron Bruce, Mitch Hardy and Angus Baker have goals. And Chris, with Canberra leading, if we blew the full-time siren now, what would that mean for the NEAFL ladder?
Well, there's still a bit to come. So let's go through what's happened so far in round 21. Of course, we had Friday afternoon footy, not Friday night footy. We had Friday afternoon footy yesterday at Blacktown, where the Sydney Swans, well, they went their own merry way, 82-30 victors over the Gold Coast. It's almost over in the first game of this afternoon at Blacktown. It was an 11 o'clock start there, and it's the Brisbane Lions. They've just passed the 100-point margin against the Giants there, 125-24. That's at about the 28-minute mark of the final quarter. So that'll lock up the Brisbane Lions into a final spot. That'll take them to 42 points on the ladder. Percentage doesn't come into play, of course, for the Lions. They've had a draw earlier in the year, so they will fit between other sides. As things stand, that puts them into sixth spot. With Canberra leading Aspley at the moment, you have Aspley on 44, the Demons on 44, Sydney Uni on 44, but they are playing later on this afternoon. That game starts at 2 o'clock. They're playing against the Northern Territory Thunder. You would expect Sydney Uni to win that, but the Thunder are capable of springing an upset, so don't lock that one in as a certainty as yet. So as things stand, Aspley third on the ladder, Canberra fourth on the ladder, but in all likelihood, both of those sides to be overtaken by Sydney Uni later on this afternoon. But here's where it gets intriguing. We come to percentage, because that's what's going to separate. If Canberra win, it'll be percentage that separates the Canberra Demons from the Aspley Hornets. Start of the game, Aspley's percentage was 108.2. It has, on the live ladder, dropped to 107.8. Start of the game, Canberra's percentage was 107.1. It has risen to 107.3. So this is the grey area that we're in, that I mentioned at the start. The possibility that Canberra could win this game, but not win it by enough to overhaul Aspley on the ladder. Canberra need another couple of goals, and the whole thing changes. Canberra go up another spot, and it really is the battle for fourth this afternoon. The winner of this game will most likely finish fourth. They will then host the team that finishes fifth. And if Canberra wins this game by enough to overhaul Aspley, then we're back in Canberra, probably Canberra versus Aspley again next week, but not at this ground. We'll be over at Manuka. Have I confused you yet, Eddie?
A little bit, Chris.
Would you like me to confuse you further? I've got more.
No.
Okay.
So to put it simply, I think the equation is if Aspley win, they are guaranteed a home final.
Yes.
If Canberra win, we think by about 15 points or more, they will get a home final. So that's what's on the line in this second half.
That's about it, yeah. Canberra need to win by another couple of goals over what they've got at the moment. Of course, the wild card is the Northern Territory Thunder, because they would love nothing better than to come out, finish their season, which has not been played to their usual standard. They would love nothing better than to come out and upset Sydney Uni this afternoon, and that changes the whole thing again.
Well, we saw that last night in the AFL with Essendon removing any chance the Power had of making the finals with an upset win there.
I didn't see you upset about that as a Geelong supporter, by
Not
the way.
upset. I'm quite relaxed this afternoon, Chris. Some of these behinds could actually come into play, given how tight this margin is. And Connor Stackelberg looked very good in the forward line for Aspley, taking a more senior role this afternoon with Freeman out of the side, late omission replaced by Mason. Connell Stackelberg has kicked 3 behinds. He's been the worst offender for Aspley. Brandon Batchelor with 2 behinds as well. Reid Stevens has missed a couple for the Demons. So inaccuracy potentially hurting both sides, as at full time the Brisbane Lions have beaten the Giants by 111 points, 125 24. I don't think we're going to see that sort of margin here at Phillip this afternoon as we get ready for the second half. Eddie Williams and Chris Coleman with you at Phillip Oval.
Ball goes down, or it will in a second. We just get another little limbering up from the umpire. Ball will go down to restart things. It's the home side going to the south. Still no breeze here this afternoon. Going to the right of your screen, the home side, as straight in over the top of the pack is Lucas Milne for a tackle after no real clear advantage gained in the ruck work. It was taken away by William Gowers for the Hornets. Now a tap from Spencer into the bottom of the pile. Demons trying to get away with it through Owen Orban, but he can't do much with it. It rebounds towards Pake. Pake now offloads, finds Klemke. Klemke puts it straight into the path of Matthew Payne. He goes for one bounce. He'll take a shot at goal, and I think he may have actually put this one through the middle. The goal umpire comes up between the big sticks, and that's completely contrary to what we've seen from the Hornets so far. Running snapshot on goal. Matthew Payne puts one through the middle, and more importantly for his side, puts them in front. They go into 2:13.25. The Demons 3:5.23. Less than a minute gone, third quarter at Phillip Oval.
Well, that's the start Aspley needed, and potentially a bit of sting in their tail at half-time. The coach wouldn't have been happy with their performance in that second quarter, and Matt Payne getting a goal within the first 40 seconds, and potentially that sets the tone for this third quarter with Aspley regaining the lead.
You've been working on the Hornets and the sting in the tail lines for the course of the week, have you, Ed?
I got a text at half-time suggesting it.
Ball down in the middle of the ground once again, and just stays inside the centre circle. Demons will wind up with it through Taylor. Taylor puts in the rugby style up and under. Pake, I think it is. No, it's actually the other headband. Daniger flying over on the far side of the ground, putting the Canberra Demons into attack now. Charging out onto it is Powell, but it's the Hornets who turn it around. It's been a breakdown all day for them. The Canberra Demons.
There's a Canberra player down in the middle of the ground, Chris. We'll keep an eye on that.
Clutching at his knee for a second there. I saw Swallow with the pill for the Hornets as they come across to the far side of the ground, and the ball is now over.
It's Connor Owen Orban who's just limping in the middle of the ground, Chris.
Not sure if it's a knee or an ankle, but it's a leg injury of some sort. Keep an eye on him, Eddie, as we see the throw in on the far side of the ground. They're just trying to get Owen Orban out of where the ball might wind up here. Ball comes back into the field of play, and it's snapped forward once again by the Hornets, but only as far as Angus Baker for the Canberra Demons. They'll turn it around. Big contest. Important passage of play. And it's Osborne for the Demons who has it. He's looking for someone, looking for anyone to go to. Goes around the far side. Klemke was there, goes past him. As we see the Demons coming forward once again. Maguire, I think it is, who's been flattened as he's taken the mark, puts the ball in towards the centre circle, and now it's with Taylor. Taylor looks across to his left, instead goes to his right, where he's got a running player in the form of Moline, and Moline's kick is just short of the line. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players in there, and none of them able to come away with it, and instead it'll be umpire Dean Garraway who takes possession.
And you would have seen Connor Owen Orban at that contest. He went down, looked pretty sore in the middle of the ground just a few moments ago, eventually getting back to his feet and seems to try to be running out whatever the problem is. Does still look a little sore, Connor Owen Orban, as we see a shot on goal for Canberra. Misses. Minor score there to Mitch Hardy as the Demons tick over to 3-6-24. They're within a point. Aspley are 2-3-15.
We don't want to think about what a draw does this afternoon, do we? We really don't want to think about that. I can just picture NEFL officials all over New South Wales, Queensland and other parts rolling their eyes at that possibility. The Hornets bring the ball back into play. Long kick in outside the 50. Comes off the hands of the pack, and we see them really streaking through the middle of the ground. They'll get it onto Stackelberg. Stackelberg looking further forward. They've got nobody inside the forward 50 other than Blake Nellis. He can't control it. Now the pack comes through, and we've got the shot. Oh, look at the celebration straight off the boot. The umpire comes in and says, yes, indeed, that'll be a goal, and it's a goal for Brandon Batchelor. As he puts it through, and he puts his side outside the safety margin now. They're on to 3-13-31. It's a 7-point buffer over the Demons, 3-6-24. And all the goals for today, bar one, scored at the northern end of the ground, which is the opposite from the last time we saw the game being played here, Eddie. It was all the goals at the southern end last time, wasn't it?
Yes, but there was a gale on that day, Chris.
That's true.
I don't think there's one today. Look, 2 quick goals to start this quarter by Aspley within the first 4 minutes and out to, as you say, a 7 point lead, and both times there they've moved the ball pretty quickly into their forward line and gotten a shot on goal in general play rather than looking for a set shot. So perhaps quick ball movement might be the trick for the Hornets in this third quarter. Spencer and Milne to go at it in ruck. As the umpire bounces the ball, Spencer got up high. His hit out was smothered by Milne, who goes in and wins the ball, eventually knocks it out towards Richardson. Intercepted there by Coughlin. We'll have a ball up. Maguire on top of the pack. Richardson there as well. And the umpire will throw it up. We're still in the centre square, slightly the Canberra forward half of the ground. Milne gets up high that time and wins it down, but it's intercepted by Giles for Aspley. Now they get a long ball inside 50. Bud with the spoil, knocked it to Paik, who gave it back for Baker. Paik stood up in the tackle, hands it off for Vardaniga, who gives it to Baker. Baker with a hand pass to fullback to the other Baker. His kick is intended for Bud. Bud back with the flight, takes the mark in the back pocket, hard up against the boundary line. There's a Canberra player down, looking seriously hurt in the middle of the ground. The umpire has blown the whistle to stop play.
It's Milne.
It's Cameron Milne after that hit out.
Yeah.
He's gone down very hard. He may have hit his head as he hit the ground.
Hasn't moved, Eddie. I've been watching him for about 15, 20 seconds. He has not moved.
And our first thought, obviously, is for the health and safety of Cameron Milne. But secondly to that, this now leaves Canberra without a ruckman as well, if we, as we expect, not see Cameron Milne return to the field. We did see Tom Fall leave the field in the second quarter. He came back onto the bench with ice strapped to his lower leg, perhaps his hamstring, as we see a stretcher now brought out onto the ground. Three runners and trainers, a number of officials now around Cameron Milne as they prepare to try and take the Canberra ruckman from the field of play.
The good news is he's actually moving there now, so moving under his own steam, albeit slowly, but I suspect he'll be done for the day here, just going by the fact that he looked to have been unconscious there. They're exercising a lot of precautions here, rolling him over onto his back now and very, very gingerly moving him. But I suspect that this will be him done for the day. He's trying to sit up and they're telling him not to, so I suspect he's still a little bit dazed and confused. I think he's more likely to be in Disneyland than out there in the middle of Phillip Oval. They've got the neck brace out as well. I think that's just as a precaution. I don't think they'll be putting it on him because my understanding of first aid is if you're going to put a neck brace on him, they'd actually want it to do that there. They're actually making sure he can move his legs. There you go. He's actually just got asked by the medico out there, can you move your left leg?
It is a long way down, Chris, when you're 200 centimetres tall.
Yes.
The impact, the fall that you have, he weighs 102 kilograms, Cameron Milne. The head, as we talk about in the AFL, in the NEFL, is sacrosanct, and any concern about concussion or anything needs to be taken very seriously. It appears the stretch is being put away, and Cameron Milne will now make his own way from the ground, which is excellent news, and the crowd giving a round of applause for Milne as he makes his way off. Lucas Moline gets there to give him a bit of a tap on the back, and good news, Cameron Milne up and about and walking slowly. He does look pretty sore. It was after that ruck contest just a few moments ago where he went up against Jake Spencer. He leapt up very high and probably leapt up too high on Spencer, and then the impact of his head hitting the ground on the way down, leaving Cameron Milne with, I expect, a pretty sore head for the next little while. But good news, he's made his own way off the field in the hands of a couple of trainers. Some more applause from the home crowd here at Phillip. The ball's back in the back pocket for the Demons, and we'll get back underway. We'll see a longish quarter now. We've gone, around 8.5 minutes in the third term. The kick now comes towards Paik, who takes a strong mark. The question for Canberra is who on earth is going to do the ruck for the rest of this match. We did see Harry Carr do the ruck briefly when Milne went off with the blood rule. I'm not sure that's a long-term option as Paik drives it towards Bruce. Bruce knocked it down, but it's taken by Warren. Warren gives the hand pass back for Hayden. Hayden just goes short across the ground. Oh, the mark's dropped there by Nellis, but he has time to recover. Goes to the wing towards Coughlin, and Coughlin takes the mark for Aspley. So we just will take a few deep breaths in this third quarter as Coughlin drives the ball towards half forward. It's a nice kick to the lead of Stackelberg. Too far out to score. 3 behinds so far this afternoon for Connor Stackelberg, one of the main culprits in their inaccurate start to this match. He just sends it long to the hot spot. Owen Orban is there, so is Bud. The ball's knocked out to the back pocket. Moline gets another disposal, gives it off to Richardson by hand. Richardson goes with a high kick towards the wing. A little bit too tricky for Cade Klemke to run onto that, but he did a good job to see it over the boundary line. It'll be thrown in between wing and half forward for the Hornets. They hold a 7-point lead, third quarter at Phillip Oval.
Well, umpire has it. Takes his time to get set. So who gets the unenviable task?
It's going to be Paik, I think, and he's 196 centimetres tall, so he's probably the best option. And he wins the hit-out.
There we go. Taps it to his own advantage and runs onto it himself. Now he pops the ball forward, but there's plenty of Hornets players in there. This is going to require really the Canberra side to just reset it for a moment as the rebound kick from the Hornets goes out of bounds, and it'll be a kick in for the Demons in front of their own advertising hoarding. It's the only advertising hoarding occupied here at Phillip Oval. I suspect that'll be a considerably different site next year when we come back here for NEFL action, Eddie, but look at that. The little fella's gone over to get the ball over there on the far side of the ground. Only a couple of kids in the stripy jerseys, look like North
Couldn't see him behind the banner, Chris.
He's just got his head poking up over the boundary line. He's got the best seat in the house, that kid, over on the far side of the ground. The kick was straight to Spencer, but he couldn't control it. So once again, it's off the hands of the pack. They're just outside the 50 here, the Hornets, and they're doing everything they can to keep the ball away from the Canberra Demons. There's 15 players in the pack at the moment. A friend of mine would say you could throw a doily over the lot of them as the ball finally again is paddled over the boundary line. Really, that was almost junior footy, wasn't it? You see all the kids chasing after it in there. And instead it's the junior footy kids who are picking the ball up from the other side of the fence. It'll be another throw in just forward of the centre line for the Canberra Demons.
And the Demons making a lot of changes to their setup, with Paik going into the ruck as Milne off the ground after that knock to the head on the way down. We've seen Tom Fall go off the field in the first half, so that takes away Canberra's strike forward. And of course, moving Paik from defence into the ruck costs Canberra arguably their best key defender. So a number of changes across the ground for the Demons. Interesting to see how that affects them in this second half, as Spencer won the hit out, but we can't get the ball clear. We'll have another ball up there on the outer wing. Look, we've heard that Paik could be a roughie in the AFL draft, perhaps a new lease on life. He could be a mobile ruckman as he wins the hit out there to the back of the pack, and it comes the way of Vardaniga. Can't quite pick up the ball. Powell waiting on the outside. The ball's not going to come out. We'll have another ball up just forward of the wing for Aspley. There's at least one car parked in that car park position, and anyone in that car or coming out of it will have a pretty good view of this next contest as Spencer wins the hit out decisively. Swallow burrows his way through and gets a hand pass forward. Good pressure by Vardaniga. Still the Hornets working it forward through Arnold, but now Canberra coming up with the ball. They move it to the wing. Kick comes inside 50. Gross in best position for Aspley. Goes back with the flight and takes the mark. He's got Warren out on the half-back flank. Ignores him. Elects to just go short. Found Joyce under a bit of pressure from Fulford. Joyce will find Warren, although good play by Martin to knock the ball away. Good recovery by Warren. His kick was meant for Nellis, but Bud sat back in the best spot, takes a good mark, and now an opportunity for Canberra to go into attack. Bud holds it in one hand, then goes long. Stevens is there, but Spencer too tall, dropping back to take the mark. Feeds it back to Warren, who's been everywhere, all over the field in this match. His kick is out for Ives. Now an opportunity for Aspley to run the ball along the wing. Ives goes with a kick for Swallow. It bounced away from him. Eventually he gathered under pressure from Vardaniga. Gives the hand pass off. Now Craven for Aspley. Kicks towards full forward. Bud gets in front, but claiming back position and claiming the mark is James Nellis. And his brother's got a goal, and he'll be hoping to get on the board himself.
Haven't been too many goals this afternoon.
Cousin, I should say, not brother.
It was Blake Nellis who got the goal in the first quarter. It was the only goal the Aspley Hornets had to their credit in the first half of this game. They've added two since the long break, and a chance for the third here, courtesy of James Nellis.
And that's, what's that, Chris? 3 goals in a row to start this second half by Aspley. They're well and truly on top and back out to a 13-point lead. The Hornets 4-13-37. The Demons 3-6-24. And good transition by the Hornets there to work the ball out of defence, run it along that outer wing, and get a shot on goal in the forward pocket.
A lot to be said for moving the ball quickly, Eddie.
A lot to be said for having a fit ruckman and a fit forward line.
Well, there is that too. The very last game of football I played, and this is going back a number of years, and not at any great high level, but we had our ruckman got injured very early in the piece, and it was, oh, well, Chris, you're just north of 6 feet, you'll do. which was just fantastic. Having never played in the ruck in my life, I will hasten to add, I was thrown in there. About 3 days later, I was in the shower, and I've looked down, and there, underneath underneath my left armpit, there was a perfectly formed set of fingerprints from where someone in a ruck contest had grabbed into my arm. I hadn't felt it at the time, didn't notice it for 3 days. So sometimes when you go into the ruck without actually being expecting it, or having done it for a long time, you can find out all sorts of weird and wonderful things about yourself. And one is that I don't have much feeling under my left armpit. Just thought I'd throw that in there. Ball back in the centre of the ground. Let's see which way it goes. Well, possibly actually another tap-out one there by Paik. So he's doing all right as a makeshift ruckman at the moment, but it's gone as far as Matthew Payne. Payne turns around now into the path of Gowers. He's got a bit of time. He stops and props, passes it over to Craven. Craven then back to Gowers. Gowers puts the ball into the forward 50. Almost clean bowls Owen Orban, who we thought was down for the count earlier. Ball now coming free once again, and they'll bring it around the grandstand side. Calling for it, Osborne. Ball is cut off before him by Paik, so the Demons hang on to possession. Potential little hand pass. Might have been away. Umpire says play on now. Gives it to Highmore. Highmore has Powell running into the centre circle. He pops it onto Martin. This is good play from the Demons. They're working it, lo and behold, up the middle of the park. Where has this been for the past few weeks? Bit of a push and shove. Fulford taps it to his own advantage, but he can't quite control the ball in the contest. So it comes away once again for the Hornets. It was Payne who had it and may have taken it out of play. Umpire says it stays in the field. So instead it'll be the Demons working it around. Taylor also in there was it Stevens? It was in there, but Taylor down on the ground, the man with it. Umpire says he didn't get a chance to actually get away with it, and it'll be a ball up just outside the forward 50. Canberra need to score next because they're 13 points behind and haven't really looked like scoring this quarter. From the ball up, no real advantage gained as it trickles over the boundary line, and we go from a ball up to a throw in. About 60 around from the Demons' goal. What are we? 16 gone in this third term. And the Canberra Demons' hopes of a home final, well, they have faded somewhat in the past 15 minutes. Paik again probably getting the best of it, but not really punching it to any advantage. Connor Owen Orban charged onto it, but couldn't stay in the field of play. And so a throw in from exactly the same spot, almost to within a blade of grass as the last one. As we wait again. Just trying to watch how Paik is positioning himself here. He's trying to run around. That's what he's doing. He's starting off the contest behind Spencer and running around him to try and get some advantage. But this time it's gone to the Hornets through Toy. Toy up to centre half forward where it's James Nellis. You'd imagine too far out to score, but he might decide to roost the big one. No, instead we work from 25 in Nellis to 26 in Gowers. There's 27 is Mason. Is he next in line? No, he isn't. Instead, they come back to Gross. Gross has gone for the long bomb, and I think he's actually dobbed it. Oh, he has. That's from outside 50, and it's landed 51 metres from him. And between the uprights and now, well, the Aspley Hornets, they've got a convincing lead here. 5-13-43 to the Demons, 3-6-24. I guess with the number of scoring shots that the Hornets have had, eventually, if accuracy kicked in, this was bound to happen, and it's starting to get a sense of the inevitable here. 19 points the difference, 17 gone third quarter.
He'll enjoy that goal, Gavin Gross, as he wanders back to centre half back, made his way up the field and nailing that shot on goal from right on the 50, just carrying the distance. A nice, accurate long ball there from Gross. And Canberra, if they're going to have any chance of winning this match, they need their small forwards and their midfielders to try and get on the scoreboard. The likes of Powell, Fulford, Stevens need to have an impact if the Demons are going to make their way back into this contest, as Paik and Stevens get ready for the centre bounce. And potentially Paik does offer them a bit more mobility around the ball, but Spencer's dominating in the ruck. Knocks it out to Toy. Toy hands it back to Spencer. Spencer dishes off to Payne, who's been busy again in this quarter. Payne off the left foot. Puts it out towards half forward. Baker gets there first for Canberra. Kicks towards the wing, but not with any real direction. And the Hornets get back in numbers. Warren looks backwards. And the Hornets get a mark through Mason, the late inclusion this afternoon. Mason just waits. He's got a man at fullback, elects to go long down the boundary line instead towards Gross, and Gross takes a nice mark, plays on by hand immediately to Toy. Toy goes for a run, goes off the right foot inside 50. Good spoil by Bud. It spills Aspley's way though through Giles, who gives the hand pass to Spencer, the big ruckman from 45. That's 5 goals in a row for Aspley. And that margin now out to 25 points. The Hornets have 6. There's 6-13-49. The Demons are stuck on 3-6-24.
It's been a very Canberra Demons thing this season to see their goal scorers spread across the team list. There's been plenty of games this year where the Demons have had 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 goal scorers for across, say, 6, 7 or 8, 9 goals. For the Aspley Hornets, that is 6 goals today, and all 6 from different players. You've got Batchelor, Blake Nellis, James Nellis, Payne, Spencer and Gross in there. So they're sharing it around, and it's certainly working out well for them.
5 goals to nothing for Aspley in this quarter, and the Demons need to be careful because they are prone to late fade-outs. 5 goals to 1 they coughed up last week. They handed over a 4-goal lead and lost to the Swans here the week before that. They capitulated in the second half to lose to Southport by more than 100 points the week before that. So the Demons need to be careful. They don't want to go into the finals off the back of a massive loss here to Aspley. A free kick paid for holding the ball, so Canberra with an opportunity here through Osborne, who laid a good tackle up against Ben Warren, the Aspley co-captain. And now a rare chance in this quarter for the Demons to head into attack. Osborne goes with a long ball. The Hornets have numbers in defence. Stevens is lurking. Hayden was there for Aspley. Now a hurried kick towards full forward. It's over the head of Bruce. Ball bouncing near the boundary line. Eventually, it's taken over the boundary line and we'll have a throw-in right forward pocket for Canberra just in front of that new cricket centre.
Gee, what do the Demons do here? I know that they're now really at a numerical disadvantage. They've lost 2 on the bench in the rotations. They've lost their key ruckman. In fact, their only dedicated ruckman this afternoon. They've got to come up with something, and they've got to somehow find 5 goals, probably more, really, to win this one. As we see the snap come off the bounce from Bruce, he's just sort of roosted it high in the air, and it's gone maybe only about 12 metres. Ives was the man at the foot of the contest, puts it into the path of Gross. Gross now finds Stanley. Stanley hasn't had a lot to do this quarter, but he gets a kick here around the centre wing position. His target was Coghlan, can't control it, ball on the ground, and we've got a few players in over the top of it, but it's still with the Hornets. Now, who's up forward for them? Well, it'll be James Nellis, but the ball won't go that far. It goes out over the boundary line, and indeed a fairly ill-directed kick goes out on the full, so it'll be brought back in for the Demons, and they've just got to try and, well, have some possession for starters. That'd be a starting point. Now they'll work it back around through the middle of the park here, potentially Vardaniga. Oh, they're mucking around with it a little bit, but they really have nobody in free space. Finally, it comes to Martin. Now a few players running onto it, and Martin decides, well, if they're running, I can go for a run as well. Puts it into the centre of the park. Fulford, the man who gets the mark just short of the centre circle. Now he finds it back to Martin. Martin goes for a run and a bounce, and now a kick into the forward 50. I tell you, deceptive speed from Martin there. The ball's gone over the contest and trickles through for a point. It was very odd scoring play for the Canberra Demons, but Martin showing a little bit of unexpected speed as the Hornets bring it back into play with a 24-point lead. And they'll work it around the grandstand side through one of the busiest men in the park this afternoon, Warren, and he puts it around to his co-captain in Matthew Payne.
Payne goes along the boundary line to Blake Nellis, who marks in front of the Aspley interchange gate. Nellis wheels onto the right foot, again goes along the boundary line towards Spencer, over his head. James Nellis was there, but Baker coming away with the football for Canberra. Been impressed by him this afternoon. That's a good kick to Powell. Powell, right foot kick. He's got a man on his own on the 50. It's Aaron Bruce, the captain, hard up against the boundary line, takes the mark in front of Ben Warren. Interesting to see whether Aaron Bruce will have a shot here, Chris. It's a difficult one, right on 50 up against the boundary line. It looks like he is shaping to have that shot on goal.
Well, there's no wind here, so if he puts it straight and puts it high enough, it'll get there.
The most experienced player in this Demon side, more than 200 NEFL games, previously spent time on the Sydney Swans list in the AFL. A must-kick goal here for Aaron Bruce. He starts it to the right. It's bending back, but it won't quite bend back enough. So a couple of inaccurate kicks from Aaron Bruce in this quarter. That takes the Demons to 3-8-26. The margin is 23 points.
Big thumbs up to the scoreboard operators here today.
Very quick,
they are very, very quick off the mark, and great to see. And it is a brand new scoreboard at this newly redeveloped ground. Ball in the centre of the park, and I'm not sure what Jack Baker was trying to do there, but his best Diego Maradona perhaps, as the Hornets on the space of 2 kicks have got the ball into the path of Blake Nellis, and Nellis, he's taken a shot at goal, and he has put it through at bullet-like velocity. What's that taken? About 13 seconds. End-to-end footy from the Aspley Hornets. A point for the Demons, a goal for the Hornets.
Well, they have played quick end-to-end footy all this quarter, Chris. That's now 6 goals to none we've seen in this term to Aspley. And the two Nellises really getting on top and really starting to dominate the game. We've seen Warren and Payne, the co-captains, again assert their dominance in this third quarter. And we're trying to count the seconds from that kick-in to that goal to Nellis. And Chris, you're up to about 12.
I reckon it took 12 and a half 13 seconds, and they've gone the length of the ground. That's a pretty good effort.
Well, they've shown a capacity to score quickly, and that's just about as quick as you can score from full back to full forward, as we're back in the centre with Spencer up against Paik, and Paik giving away a few centimetres and experience in the ruck here. A difficult challenge for him in this second half, with Cameron Milne leaving the ground after knocking his head. Maline's been busy for Canberra, gives the hand pass to Paik. Paik swings it towards half forward. It bounced away from Powell. It was taken by Hayden for Aspley. Still the ball on the ground. Big pack of players forms around it. Owen Orban and Powell waiting for it to come out, but it won't. So we'll see a ball up at the attacking edge of the centre square. The Demons trying to work their way back into this game. They trail now by 29 points and facing the prospect of 4 consecutive losses heading into the finals, and it'd be an away final, most likely up in Queensland against this Aspley side again, as Highmore takes a mark for Canberra, defensive side of the wing. He's been in good form the past few weeks, Tom Highmore. Just goes short for Oakes. Back in the side last week. He was the late inclusion for Fulford. Good spoil, good defence there by Aspley as they try to win the footy on the wing. Still Canberra managing to hold on to the ball. We'll have another ball up on the wing, forward, just forward of the wing for the Canberra side as they, I suppose, just try and tread water for a little bit, absorb some of this pressure, try and slow the game down and try not to concede any more quick goals. 26 minutes gone. It will be a long quarter with Cameron Milne having to be taken from the ground earlier. Maguire, haven't seen too much of him in this third term. Goes inside 50 towards Stevens. Can't drag in the mark one-handed. Aspley have the numbers, but Canberra still have the ball. Eventually it spills free. Still Stevens going in hard. Now the ball's over the boundary line and it'll be thrown in 35 metres around from the Canberra goal.
Well, the Demons, they have it all to do. And you've got to wonder at some stage, does it become, well, let's potentially just, I hate to use the phrase bruise-free footy, but do they start to think about that now? They're, 5 goals back. They've only scored 3 for the afternoon, haven't really scored since half-time other than 3 behinds. Do they have to start thinking, well, we've got 2 players who are down for injuries here. They don't want to be taking any more injuries into this finals campaign, Eddie?
We're probably not quite at that point. 5 goals is not an insurmountable lead. But we're probably not. 3. Yeah, but well,
I know the Swans did it a couple of weeks ago. Go on, remind me of that. Go on.
But we're probably only a few goals away from that point, Chris. You don't want to have any more injuries from a Canberra perspective heading into the finals. Spencer takes it out of the ruck, kicks it out towards the wing for Joyce. Joyce gave the hand pass off. Now the kick comes towards Batchelor, but good mark. The 2 number 6s coming together there, and Cade Klemke winning the ball for Canberra. He's got Martin on his own in the centre square. Sam Martin having a pretty good afternoon. Plays on, goes for a dash, kicks it out for Baker. Baker, another one of Canberra's best players today. Baker towards half forward. Owen Orban takes a strong mark. We thought he might have been injured earlier, but he managed to run out, whatever the problem was with his lower leg. Owen Orban's kick is for Paik. Paik can't quite complete the mark. Gathers, stands up, fires the hand pass out. The hand pass was smothered. Now Paik remains on the ground. He's a bit slow to get up. He does get up. They can't afford to lose another tall here, the Demons, as we see another stoppage inside 50, just next to the 50-metre arc for Canberra.
So the, where are we, 28-minute mark ticks over. As Eddie mentioned before, it'll be a long quarter. Ball comes back into play. I think it was Osborne up and over the top for the Demons. It was a clearing kick then from the Hornets, but it's only got as far as Hardy, and they turn around. Back into the forward 50 they go. More Hornets than Demons deep in defensive territory for the visiting side. And it's punched away by Spencer over the boundary line. So it'll be a throw in, about 10 around from the Canberra Demons goal. Time not their friend at the moment, but a goal here will set us up for a more interesting last quarter. What have they got? Oh, Paik, he's given up on positioning himself behind Spencer and now goes in front. Spencer reaches up, punches the ball, sort of backhand style into the path of Richardson for the Demons. He is then beset upon by numbers of Hornets. a swarm of Hornets, you could say, and he's finally play stops courtesy of an umpire's whistle. So the ball's gone about 40 from the goals now for Canberra. Paik flies, showing pretty good ruck technique actually for a guy who's only doing it as a part-timer. But again, ball back into the belly of several players, and the umpire says we'll have yet another ball up. So now coming up on the half-an-hour mark, ball up in the air again, courtesy of the umpire. I think that may have been Maguire who's picked it up, puts it towards the goals, but again, plenty of Hornets players in there. It was Hayden who got the initial possession. Now they send it over to the far side of the ground with Joyce, and Joyce takes a mark just outside the defensive 50. He sets himself for a pause to allow a few of the players who are inside that defensive 50 to flee up the ground. A pack forms, and again off hands and over the boundary line on the far side of the ground. There's been a lot of boundary throw-ins in front of that Canberra Demons sign. It's a good-looking sign and getting plenty of TV exposure this afternoon. I'm sure the Canberra Demons would love to sell some advertising around the ground for future NEFL TV games next year. So get in touch with the club if you'd like to get on board for some advertising. As you can see, it's a good-looking ground and plenty of exposure on that far side as the ball comes back in. Centre wing position just on the Hornets side of halfway. Spencer actually gets both hands to it as once again it's the Hornets on the attacking path through Payne. Matthew Payne puts the ball into the path of Stackelberg. Stackelberg then looking for anyone up forward, but it's again contested ball. 1, 2, 3, 4. I was waiting for the fifth player to come in for the full stacks on the mill, but instead it's just the 4, and the umpire says no one had any opportunity to get it away, least of all the man in the bottom of the pack, who is Riley Budd, and it'll be a ball up 30 out from the Hornets goal.
Thought Batchelor was going to take that mark, but good desperate defence from Klemke to get there in time to spoil as Hardy knocks the ball away. Now Powell picks it up, shrugs the tackle, now runs into another tackle, Jack Powell. Umpire calls play on. He gave it off to Carr with some sort of disposal. Carr has a bounce running through the centre of Phillip Oval. He's got no teammates in front of him. Now he's coughed up the footy. Harry Carr is holding the ball. Well done, Lonnie Hampton, winning the free kick at half-back for Aspley. Goes with a quick kick to Joyce. Henry Joyce just chips it short, and they'll just build slowly here through Arnold. Arnold goes to the wing for Batchelor, leading Klemke to the ball. But a long way from home, Brandon Batchelor, again in front of that Canberra Demons sign on the outer side of the ground.
Told you to get some exposure.
Aspley with 6 goals to none in this quarter, and the Demons trying to think of a way to get back into this match. Joyce has the ball again in the middle of the ground. He's going to switch play here to Hayden on the defensive edge of the centre square. Goes out to the wing, finds Stanley. Haven't seen too much of Stanley today. He slips over. We've seen a lot of players slip over on this side of the ground as Stanley goes into the middle. Finds Joyce again on his own. Joyce goes for a bit of a run, then sends it in long to full forward for Spencer. And Spencer too tall, too strong for Paik. And Jake Spencer, he's done everything else today, and now he'll have a shot for his second goal of the quarter.
Just showing a clean pair of heels in front of Paik there. It's just the voice of experience, isn't it?
And as we say, Paik conceding 4 centimetres in height to Jake Spencer. Jake Spencer, an experienced AFL campaigner with Melbourne, takes the shot on goal, goes with a high ball and puts it through. That is a 7-goal quarter for Aspley. 7 goals to nothing in this third term. We've gone more than 32 and a half minutes, and it's Aspley 8-13-61 leading the Demons 3-8-26.
For the Canberra Demons, their second halves in the last few weeks have become quite worrisome, and it's been more the final quarter where things have gone wrong for them in the past weeks. This time, it's been basically since half-time. I appreciate that they lost Tom Fall, and that's upset their rotations early in the game. Now they've lost Milne, so it's upset the ruck work and the rotations, but it's just a case of anything that can go wrong after the long break really has gone wrong for them. 33 gone here and a 35-point margin. So not only have Aspley turned it around, they've more than doubled the Canberra Demons score, and they're not done yet. They want to put some more on the board before half-time, as it was Matthew Payne charging through. Couldn't quite get hold of the ball. It was Highmore, I think, who had it in there. No, it was Moline who had it. He was brought to the ground by Matthew Payne. Paik gets in, gets the tap away, and now it comes through hands to Mitch Hardy. Hardy goes on the outside, and then back on the inside comes Martin. Martin, he's got a bit of speed about him when he decides to go with it. We haven't seen a lot of that so far this year. Now Bruce takes the mark in front of himself. Looks further up the line. He's got Taylor. Taylor bumped out of the contest by Craven, who came in very, very hard, and the ball goes over the boundary line right at the junction of the attacking 50 for the Canberra Demons and the boundary line. 34 minutes gone, and 35 points the margin here. Three-quarter time not too far away at Phillip Oval.
So Paik and Spencer in ruck. We mentioned earlier that Nathan Richards, Canberra's backup ruckman, was dropped during the week, and I know it's easy to say with hindsight, but you wonder about the wisdom of excluding the second recognised ruckman from the Canberra side, with Milne going down injured earlier in this quarter. Hampton takes the mark for Aspley at defensive 50. Just goes back and waits. Now he goes with a low ball towards Warren, who takes the mark, defensive side of the wing. Warren just chips it back to Hampton, as the Hornets just look to ice the clock late in this third quarter. We've gone nearly 35 minutes, although, as we've been saying, it will be a long quarter because we did have that delay as Milne was taken from the ground. Hampton, again, with a low ball to the wing. And Aspley using it well here. They haven't made too many mistakes in this quarter. Payne racking up another disposal. Goes into the corridor and finds Hayden. Hayden's been busy in this third term as well. Takes the mark next to Bruce. He's got a man on his own in Mason in the middle of the ground. Elects to go a bit further than that. Switches to the broadcast side. The siren will sound. What a quarter by the Hornets. They've piled on 7 goals to nothing in that third term. And at three-quarter time, it's Aspley, 8-13-61, taking a 35-point lead over the Canberra Demons, 3-8-26. What have the Demons got in the final quarter? Can they do anything to try and get back into this match and earn themselves a home final, or will Aspley continue to march on and pile on more pain on the Demons in the final term?
Well, the Demons will need 6 goals straight for starters, and that will put them just their noses in front if they can shut this Hornets side down completely. We've got to say a big rap to the Hornets there, because in that first quarter, kicking to the same end, to the northern end, they kicked 1 goal 10. In that third quarter, they've kicked, as you said, 7 goals, Eddie. Not just 7 goals straight. They've gone from 1-13 at half-time to 8-13 at three-quarter time. It's a remarkable performance, and they really are putting their premiership credentials out there firmly on the table. How will this one finish up? Well, you'd probably say that it'll be the Hornets, but we've seen some funny comebacks in the NEAFL during the course of this season. Indeed, we saw a very funny comeback here just a couple of weeks ago. So don't write this one off just yet. We'll have the final term for you from Phillip Oval, where the Canberra Demons, well, they're looking to snap a losing streak and overturn a 35-point deficit. Can they do it? You'll find out soon. Round 21 of NEAFL TV, thanks to our broadcast partner Bar TV, will continue shortly from Phillip Oval. 1 quarter of football remaining in the regular season for these two sides. And it looks like it'll be the Aspley Hornets then to take it into the home finals, with Canberra on the live ladder now slipping to 6th at around the ground scores. I can tell you that Southport, Eddie, a minute into the second quarter there against Redland, leading 31-9, and the Sydney Uni NT Thunder game has just commenced at Blacktown, with Sydney Uni having the first goal there. They lead 7-1, and of course when this game's concluded you can switch over to Thunder Vision online and keep an eye on the Sydney Uni NT Thunder game. The top 6 as it stands on the live ladder: Southport, Swans, Aspley, Sydney Uni, Brisbane and the Canberra Demons. So certainly the NEAFL spreading most of its direction into the 2018 finals series. But it'll be, in all probability, the Aspley side hosting the Canberra Demons next week. So they'll know each other fairly well by full time in next week's game.
Yeah, so the Demons would need to win by, we think, around 15 points or more to secure a home final. And given they trail by 35 at three-quarter time, even if they were to cause an upset and come from behind, unlikely they'll be able to win by enough. So potentially we see these two sides meet again in the first week of NEAFL finals next week. Interesting to see Tom Highmore has moved into the forward line as we start the final quarter for Canberra. Of course, Paik moving from defence into the ruck, with Milne off injured. Fall is off injured as well, the focal point up forward. So Tom Highmore moving forward for the Demons. They've gone with 6 forwards and 6 defenders as we're underway in the final quarter. Swallow gave the hand pass off. It was meant for Toy, but bounced away from him. Comes to Moline for Canberra, who's been busy. Gives it to Maguire. Maguire's kick towards half forward. Sits up okay for Bruce. Knocks it towards Hardy. Hardy trying to gather. Here's Highmore, the defender, playing in attack. Hardy goes again. Gets the hand pass to Bruce. Bruce goes with the right foot banana. And he's put it through.
Well,
so maybe there's a pulse for the Canberra Demons. They score within the first 30 seconds. Their 4th goal, their first goal of this second half. And that margin back down to 29 points.
For what it's worth, they are going to the scoring end. As in, I think there's been, 1 goal? Have I got this right, Eddie? 1 goal to the other end all day?
Yes.
That's it.
In the first quarter.
1 goal in total to the other end all day. So Canberra, we've got to try and work out what's going on with this ground. There's obviously some sort of a slope away from us and to the left of screen that your vision doesn't pick up, and we don't notice here, because that's where all the goals have been scored this afternoon. But Aaron Bruce becomes the first multiple goal scorer for the Canberra Demons. What is the margin? Well, it's 29 points. Canberra 4-8-32. Aspley 8-13-61. Ball back in the middle of the ground, and we've only had a minute and 15 seconds gone into the final term. Spencer probably gets the best of it towards Swallow, but he can't control, and so Paik roves it off the ruck contest. His kick is cut off by Stanley at centre-half back for the Hornets, and he works it around on the far side of the ground now, finds Joyce. Joyce pauses for a second, goes a little bit further perhaps than I was expecting him to do with Coghlan. They turn it around, short hand pass. Could have gone infield to Hayden. They elected to go around the boundary line again, and the long kick goes into the path of, is it Batchelor over there? It is Batchelor. Brandon Batchelor in front of the floodlight tower. Someone set up a picnic at the base of the floodlight tower. Good spot for it. Now he finds Coghlan. Ball comes back inside. Hand pass. Waiting for it is Blake Nellis. Nellis gets it, doesn't muck around, takes a shot at goal, but it's across to the left. As we've seen a number of times from the Hornets earlier today, they move on to 8-14-62. 5 goals the margin now. The Canberra Demons 4-8-32. The Demons play on quickly. They need to. They've got to score at least 31 points to overhaul their opponents. They work it around the grandstand side. We've seen them in ruck for the second half today, but instead it's Paik and Spencer in what could have been a marking contest. Couldn't do much with it. Paik eventually got it as the ball went over his head, tried to keep into the field of play, but again, lost his footing just a little bit, so it's a bit slippery in places, this Phillip Oval, and the umpire will throw it in right at the interchange gates for the Aspley Hornets. Ball comes back into play. Paik runs around from behind Spencer. Spencer taps it forward, though, into the path of Toy. He can't get there. Instead, it winds up with Moline. Moline goes for the worm burner, gets it onto Powell. Powell sends the ball backwards to come forward through Richardson. Richardson, his kick infield is to Maguire. Maguire probably been quieter today than he would have liked. Puts the ball into centre-half forward, and I reckon that might have been Martin there. It was. He's taken the mark right on the 50-metre arc. Now, he can put someone into a good position, and that someone, is that Ben Fulford? It is indeed. So Only made about a 10-metre gain in distance. It was a slightly angled kick, but it means that when Fulford's kicking here, he'll be kicking from directly in front, from about 42 out. So he'll back himself here. Starts his run up from inside the centre square. Kicks from about 45. It looks pretty good. And I reckon he's dobbed it for his first goal of the day. The second one for the Canberra Demons, and the scoring continues at the northern end, Eddie Williams.
Well, he'd been quiet this afternoon, Ben Fulford, and we said in that third quarter that if Canberra are going to get back into this match, they need those smaller forwards, the likes of Fulford, of Stevens, of Powell, to try and get on the scoreboard. And Ben Fulford, he doesn't go too many games without kicking a goal. Even if he doesn't have many disposals, he generally manages to have an impact, and he has an impact there. And well, that margin is looking a bit more manageable now. 24 points, 4 minutes gone in the final quarter.
Get the next one, it'll be really interesting. 5-8-38 to 8-14-62. No wind, no sun. Checked the radar a little while ago. Looks like we're not going to get any rain here for a little while longer, so going to be played out in fairly dry conditions. Oh, that centre bounce going all the way for Spencer. We've got a whistle now. So the umpire who was off the play has called a free kick from about 40 metres away, and it'll come back for Maguire. So the Canberra Demons, well, I said it'll be interesting how they get the next one, and they're really only 2 kicks from doing it. Maguire goes with a stab pass, puts it onto the outstretched arms of Hardy, who's probably just too far out to score. He chips inside the forward 50, but too quick the defence from, oh, that might be a free kick. Nope, the umpire says play on, as we saw a couple of Demons players come in. Eventually it winds up with Fulford. He snaps it over his left shoulder into the goal square, off the hands of the pack, and it goes out over the boundary line for a throw-in. Sort of messy play in there, but Canberra with a number of opportunities. They just needed to grab the ball.
Well, they've come out with a lot of energy in this final quarter, the Demons, as Gross jumps over the fence to go and retrieve the ball, and they're looking lively. They're looking pretty ferocious in attack, and those smaller players, Fulford, again getting his hands on the ball there. Maybe just a bit of energy, maybe just a bit of spark, and maybe with a stoppage here inside 50, a chance for the Demons to get another goal, and then it will certainly be game on as the umpire throws the ball in. Paik and Spencer in ruck. Spencer starts in front. Both of them probably got hands to it. Comes to Maguire. His kick was partly smothered. Eventually it'll come out Aspley's way, although they've lost the ball for now. Maguire picks it up. He's brought to ground. And we'll see another stoppage inside 50 for Canberra underneath that new electronic scoreboard, which tells us we've gone more than 6 minutes in the final quarter, with Aspley holding on to a 24-point lead. The umpire throws it up. It's knocked to the back of the contest. Again, the ball is brought to ground. Again, it goes over the boundary line, and we'll have a throw-in right on half forward for Canberra. The Hornets edging the ball slowly out of defence, stoppage by stoppage. Paik doing a pretty decent job in not allowing Spencer to dominate too much in ruck so far. Umpire throws it in. Paik and Spencer. Paik gets his way to the front this time. No one could really get a decisive tap on it. Paik goes in hard at ground level, and that's potentially been one advantage of having Paik do the ruck in this second half. His ability to win the ball, his ability to throw his body around at ground level and potentially be a bit more mobile than Cameron Milne is adding some sort of a spark to the Demons, but he is conceding a bit of height and he is conceding a lot of hitouts as Maguire is well tackled there by Ives. The ball spills free towards the boundary line. Now Aspley kick it forward, but only momentarily. It'll come back. Vardaniga's taken the mark on the edge of the centre square. He's in front of Swallow. Vardaniga goes inboard to Owen Orban. Takes the mark low to the ground. He's got an option short in Martin. Ignores that. He's going to go out just with a low ball towards right half forward, towards Highmore, who takes a strong mark. So Tom Highmore, normally in defence, swung into attack in this quarter, gave it to Maguire. Maguire gets it back and goes inside 50. The kick was too strong for Hardy. It's over his head. It's over the boundary line. We'll have a throw-in inside 50 for Canberra, who are doing all the attacking in this final quarter.
I'll be intrigued to see how they set up for this throw-in, because last time they had a throw around this part of the ground, Canberra set up with only one man goalward. This time they've got 3 or 4 on the goal side of the boundary throw-in.
And Gavin Gross is down in the middle for Aspley, so it's a war of attrition this afternoon.
It is indeed. They haven't stopped play yet. I don't know whether the main umpires have realised that Gross is being treated. Ball is
getting up now.
At the bottom of the pack. It comes out to Paik, who's been very, very busy all through the course of the day, but he can't control it. Smothered kick from Gowers tries to get the Hornets away. Now it's with Joyce, who puts the ball onto the centre wing position. Flying for Canberra is Cade Klemke. He's about the third last player in defence for them, because there's only half a dozen players in the defensive half of the ground for the Demons. Taylor into the contest there, knocked his man away, managed to get onto the ball himself, and in there, is that Highmore in there as well, or Martin? Martin it is who's got in there. But the umpire says, I'll have it for a throw.
As Gross comes off the ground, Chris, and unable to put any pressure on his right leg, although he is now managing to walk largely on his own, but he's being helped off by a couple of trainers there. So the centre-half back for Aspley taken from the ground.
While you've been keeping an eye on that, Eddie, we've seen the ball sent out of bounds on the far side of the ground, so it'll be a throw-in yet again on the true centre-wing position. I reckon I've seen more throw-ins on the centre-wing position at this ground than any ground I've watched footy at in recent times.
Maybe that Canberra Demons sign is magnetic.
Well, maybe that's where it is. Maybe that's what's causing everything for the ball to head across to that eastern side of the ground. Ball is snatched out of the air at the boundary throw-in from by Jake Spencer, but the umpires found an infringement in there, and so it'll be Paik who gets the free kick. Now, he could go back to go forwards with Vardaniga calling for it slightly to his rear, but there's nobody waiting, so instead he can go for a bit of a jog and a trot and put the ball inside the forward 50. Off the hands of the pack, it comes back into the path of, I reckon, might even Swallow for the Hornets. Now they'll turn it around once again via Coughlin, and turning it further forward is Benjamin Warren. He waits, and now he's got a man in James Nellis. So, gee, they're making it look easy when they run the ball up. They've just got plenty of people in space. This Hornets side comes back again to Warren. He gets his second involvement in this passage of play. Puts the ball into the forward 50, but it's a cut-off mark there for the Demons by Baker, and they turn it around. Now it's with Powell. He's been busy today. Powell on to another...
That was an awkward-looking bounce by Paik.
It was a very, very awkward bounce from Paik, and apologies for losing the composure for a second. Fulford, now he sends it in with a much better looking pass. He gives it to Maguire. Maguire goes for a bounce, puts it across into the path of Vardaniga. Vardaniga takes a shot, which he really could have taken another moment with. It was actually Oakes, not Vardaniga. Gee, those Alice bands make the hairstyles difficult to pick. It was Oakes who had it, and it was he could have taken a bit more time with there and made certain of it, but instead puts it through for a point. 5-9-39. Aspley now are at 8-14-62, so it's a 23-point game, 11-minute mark of the last quarter.
Missed opportunity there for Nathan Oakes. He kicked a nice goal last week in his first game back in the side. He was the late inclusion last week with Fulford out, and maintained his spot in the team this week, despite Cade Klemke swinging the axe. 4 players out and 4 inclusions for the Demons for this afternoon's clash with Aspley, as Paik and Spencer prepare to go at it in ruck again. And perhaps Paik going into the middle, as we say, hasn't been the worst thing for the Demons, although Spencer won the hit out decisively there. Can't find a teammate yet. Eventually it's picked up, but good pressure by Moline. Moline going in hard at ground level. The ball is near the boundary line. Looks like there's another Aspley player down, defensive side of this pack. And we're going to have another ball up, and we're just trying to see. Ben Warren's going over to check on his teammate. This Aspley player just slowly getting up behind the contest. The umpire's going to wait. And Toy. So we've just seen Gross go off. We've got Toy now clutching at one of his legs. We thought Owen Auburn might have been injured, but he seems to have recovered. And Fall and Milne are both off for Canberra. So it's fortunate we're near the Canberra Hospital here in Woden, because it might come into play this afternoon as the Demons get the ball towards half forward. Highmore bounces over his head, taken by Hayden. Hayden's taken to ground. Ball spills free. No, Hayden's pinged for holding the ball. So a free kick going to Oakes for Canberra. Looks to move it on quickly. Left foot kick. He's got a man on his own inside 50. It's Hardy. And Hardy elects to go back and take the set shot from the right forward pocket.
Quick play from the Canberra Demons. It's what they need. So a 23-point margin, a chance to get it down under 3 goals here. And Canberra ringing the changes with what they've got left on the bench. So Aaron Bruce, he's had a rest, so he'll come on. You'd imagine he'll come on and go into the forward line. Powell, who's largely been seen in defence, comes off, kicks into the man on the mark, and well, it'll be Ben Fulford to try and pick up the crumbs from it. And he has. Well, they've done plenty of things ugly this afternoon, and they've got away with some of it. And that one, well, you never know. It might just be the game changer for them. It might just be the lift they need, Eddie. They are coming home with a wet sail. They're going to for whatever reason, has turned out to be the scoring in the northern end here at Phillip Oval. There's been only one goal of the 14 we've seen this afternoon. Only one kicked at the southern end.
Well, Ben Fulford is not a prolific ball winner, but whenever he does get the ball, he seems to make something happen. That's 2 goals to Fulford in this final quarter, and those smaller forwards, the pressure forwards, the likes of Hardy and Fulford starting to step up for Canberra, and they're giving themselves a chance with the margin back to just 17 points.
Well, there's, what is it, 13 and 45 gone, so there'll be another 14, 15 minutes. It's not beyond the realms of possibility for them to not just do enough to win the game, but do enough to return to that home final.
Settle down, Chris.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm getting a little bit excited and a bit ahead of myself. That's Ives with the kick off the ground for the Hornets. Puts the ball back inside their forward 50, but it's a very, very quick tackle from the Hornets. The umpire says too quick, no opportunity for Vardaniga to dispose of it, and we'll get a ball up 48 out from the Hornets goal directly in front of the posts. The umpire gets in there and puts the ball up. A big punch from Spencer, but again it's the Demons defence that holds strong. Over the top was Stanley in the contest. He's punched it into the path of a couple of teammates. The Hornets, they're going forward once again, but the ball's out on the full, so it'll be the Demons to come up with it. They'll need to work it back in towards the centre of the park fairly quickly. I reckon it'll be Baker who gets the kick in. He's just outside the defensive 50.
I don't know what Cade Klemke and Bet Goddard said to their team at three-quarter time, but it seems to have worked. The Demons have come out with a renewed vigour in this final quarter as they work the ball forward of the wing, but Aspley have the numbers at the back of the contest. Hand pass inboard. Demons will get it through Stevens. Stevens gets a right foot kick away towards half forward. Mason managed to get the hand pass out before he was crunched. Now the kick comes towards Fulford. Fulford and Hampton. Hampton does well to win the ball, gets around Fulford, and now goes with a kick out towards the pocket for Warren. Warren, the co-captain, takes the mark under the scoreboard. Another Aspley player is down.
This is Mason. He hasn't moved. It was a head clash in that last contest.
It was a very crunching tackle as he got rid of the ball, and Luca Mason, the late inclusion today, slowly getting to his feet as Aspley worked the ball pretty quickly towards half forward. Kick to a one-on-one contest. Bud was worked out of it, and it's a great mark to Jake Nellis, who will go back and look for his second goal of the day.
Gee, just set himself in front there. If you want to get me, you're going to have to push me out of the way. And then he just set himself and used his opponent's momentum against him, and Nellis will have a fairly easy shot here.
Looks like Mason will... he's just jogged back into the middle of the ground. Not too keen to come off quite yet, so perhaps Mason able to just jog off whatever the issue was there. As Nellis looking for his second goal of the day, just a steadier for Aspley. And he puts it through. That's the goal they needed, their first goal of this final term. And Aspley back out by 23 points.
A pair of Nellises with a pair of goals this afternoon. Blake with one in the first and one in the third. And James with one in the third and now one in the fourth. And you'd think now that we can finally start talking about Aspley locking up third or fourth on the ladder with a 23-point break as we get up to the 17-minute mark in this final quarter.
And Mason has stayed on the ground there. Chris is still walking around at centre half back, just having a bit of a drink.
He went down for a little while. I just wonder about the wisdom of keeping him out there at the moment. You know, if you've copped a bump to the head, it's late in the game. You'd think maybe just getting him off, but he may
have been winded, Chris, rather than any knock to the head.
Possibly. Ball down in the middle of the ground and the tap down once again won by Spencer, and now they're showing plenty of space here, speed here rather, the Hornets, and Swallow it was. Gee, he's a class player and showing plenty of his AFL background in there. Got the ball through to Craven. Craven winds up chasing it into the contest, and it's about as close as it can get to you here on Bar TV this afternoon, on Neefel TV as well, as you'll see a boundary throw in from directly in front of our broadcast spot. Western side of the ground here at Phillip. Ball goes back up in the air. And again, despite the best efforts of Paik, it is Spencer who gets the better of it. But it goes towards the Canberra players through a couple of sets of hands, and it's with Osborne. He doesn't muck around, puts the ball in towards the hot spot, but it's punched away towards Benjamin Warren, and Warren then sends it across to Stanley. Stanley sending it forward into the path of Payne. Payne, he looks around, continues to go, taps it forward. Oh, it's Batchelor, not Payne. Batchelor can't control, loses it over the boundary line. And it'll be another throw-in on the far side of the ground. The Aspley Hornets, they've done what they needed to do to lock up a home final next week. But the Canberra Demons, well, they need to show something because in all probability it'll be them up against the same side next week but on a different ground a long way north. Ball comes back into the field of play and really bounces almost off the top of the ruck contest and is sent in towards the centre of the ground. Picked up by Mason. Ball calls the crowd. Umpire says, I'm not going to pay that one. It'll be a throw up instead. Centre wing, far side of the ground.
So Isaac Taylor's been a little quiet, I've thought, this afternoon for Canberra, Chris. But interesting battle between the two sixers, Cade Klemke and Brandon Batchelor, who've both played pretty well this afternoon. It's a high ball towards the wing. Osborne was underneath it but couldn't take the mark. Vardaniga lays a tackle. The ball spills Canberra's way. Here is that man, Taylor. Taylor goes with a kick along the boundary line for Bruce. Bruce dives in and takes a nice mark. Too far out to score. Just inside the field of play, Aaron Bruce, the captain of the Canberra Demons. A couple of goals on the afternoon for him. Goes with a high ball to full forward. Paik was there. It's knocked away from him. Hurried kick out of defence by Aspley. Carr in best position for Canberra. Carr steadies, gives the hand pass to Martin. Martin could have a shot on goal here from 45. He does, but he's put it away to the right. So another behind for the Demons. They're 6-10-46. A 22-point margin. Aspley 9-14-68.
Well, the one bad quarter for the Canberra Demons potentially proving very, very costly. 22 points the difference as we reach the 20-minute mark of the final quarter. The long kick into the field, back into the field of play, and a good mark there taken by Aaron Bruce. He'll just turn around and bomb it back in towards the goal square. It'll be at the top of the square. There's 4 or 5 players there waiting at the back of the pack with Stevens. And Stevens, he's run into the goal and kicked it from about 2 metres out. Well, they're not done yet, the side in blue and gold. That's their 7th for the afternoon. 7-10-52 they move on to. Aspley 9-14-68. So they're not finished yet, but well, they're going to go about it the long way, Eddie.
Well, he kicked just about the goal of the year last week, Reid Stevens. That one was a lot simpler, but yet again, another small Canberra forward getting onto the scoreboard and just keeping them in the game. With that, well, it's 16 points, Chris. We're only just into time on, and stranger things have happened. From a Canberra perspective, they did make those 4 changes this week. Smouse, Richards and Helse all omitted. Collins out injured, and there'll be a few decisions for Cade Klemke and the team to make this week as they pick their side for the first final. I was a bit surprised to see Alex Smout out of the side. I thought he played pretty well against Sydney Uni last weekend. He certainly gets a lot of the ball, but they've been wanting him to have a bigger impact. And we understand those 3 players, Smout, Richards and Helse, lining up with the Giants this weekend, as we see in the NEAFL.
And Smout and Mitch Maguire, Canberra's 2 players in the top 10 of the MVP voting earlier in the season when it went behind closed doors a few weeks back.
And Smout had 36 disposals in that Giants game earlier today.
So just a couple, and that's in a side that was beaten by 101 points.
Potentially. So Alex Smout would have to be in high consideration to be brought back into this side next weekend.
Well, you'd think so. Driven into the ground there is Benjamin Warren, a very, very heavy tackle, and he's just taking a moment to suck in a couple of deep breaths as he gets to his feet. And doesn't go for the long option because he's got running into space there a teammate in Brandon Beardsall. And Beardsall again goes for the cute play, but it hasn't worked out as it comes to the Demons through Taylor. Taylor now goes direct and puts it onto the chest of Moline. He looks further forward. And it's in the path of Mason. Mason can't do much with it other than keep it away from his opponent. And the ball, I think, has gone out over the boundary line. It has gone out over the boundary line, and it'll be a throw-in somewhere around where the 50 joins the boundary line on the far side of the ground. Forward for the Canberra Demons. A win here won't be enough. They need to win by enough points to wrap up a home final, but it could potentially change the complexion of the finals still if the Canberra Demons do win this afternoon.
You've got me scratching my head today, Chris. It's all a bit confusing, but the first part of the equation is the Demons need to win to have any chance of a home final. At the moment, they're staring down a 16-point deficit as the ball comes to the wing. Klemke dropped a mark he might have taken. In the end, it's worked towards the boundary line and over the boundary line. We'll see a throw-in over on that far side of the ground between wing and half forward for the Canberra Demons. They've kicked 4 goals in this quarter. Aspley just with the 1 goal. So the Demons coming home with a bit of a wet sail in this final term as Paik and Spencer prepare to go at it in ruck again. Spencer gets his way to the front, wins it down with 2 hands and a chance for Aspley to go forward yet again. Owen Orban got himself in a pretty good position, couldn't intercept. Now it comes to Hayden. Hayden's kick is smothered by Owen Orban, who was the runner for the Demons last week when he was left out of the side. But back in this week, Owen Orban is getting involved in this passage of play. We see another, I think, Canberra player on the ground there, but he'll get up, and we'll have a ball up between wing and half forward for Aspley. We're into time on, 23 and a half minutes played. Final quarter, Aspley holding on to a 16-point lead. Spencer won it down to Payne. Payne feeds it backwards, and now a tumbling old kick inside 50. It's marked on the chest by Bud in defence for Canberra, and Bud goes out towards the boundary line. He was looking for Hardy, but Swallow got in the way. Swallow feeds the hand pass, but his hand pass goes astray. It's over the boundary line. Bit of a messy past couple of minutes. It'll be thrown in between wing and half forward for the Hornets.
Yeah, a win for Canberra would put them up to 5th, Eddie. It would mean they would overtake the Brisbane Lions, and it would then mean Canberra will finish 5th. They'll still be away next week, but against a different opponent, I think. Don't take that as gospel.
Can it still be a draw?
Confusing. It can still. Oh well, that'd require 3 goals for Canberra and a couple of points for Aspley. Let's not think about it. Yeah, I've already got enough of a headache. As you've seen, the ball has been worked a little bit further into the towards Canberra Demons territory, but back over the boundary line. So it'll be another throw in. 24 and a half gone. Final term here at Phillip Oval. Probably the last quarter of football here at Phillip Oval for the season as the ball bounces around in the pack. And for the Aspley Hornets, I reckon that might be Stanley who tries to put them further into attack. But again, no one really able to gain any ascendancy of it, and the ball trickles out over the boundary line another time. In front of that white car over in the car park there that's been parked there most of the afternoon, enjoying the footy from the outer side of the ground here at Phillip Oval. Ball back into play, and once again it's Paik versus Spencer, and I reckon maybe Paik just getting the better of it. A clearing kick from out of the middle of the pack. We've got a couple of players doing their best WWE stuff at the moment. Charging through was Mason for the Hornets. He put it back to Stanley. Stanley then sent the ball forward, comes around off a couple of people towards Craven, and Craven sends them into attack. There's not a lot of blue, brown and gold jumpers there, but they managed to work it into the path of Coughlin, and Coughlin, well, he's lost the pill, and the Demons have come away with it. Now they're going to need to work fairly quickly. They need 3 goals in a matter of minutes, and they're not doing the right thing. They're messing around with it inside their own 50, and that's what happens when Martin can't do much with it. He pops it down into the path of Craven for the Hornets, who takes a snap from on the 50-metre arc, and it goes through for a point. Well, Eddie, it could still be a draw. We're back to, 17 points. So 1 more point for the Hornets and 3 goals to Canberra, and you get your draw.
You make a good point, Chris. It is the last time, probably, we'll see Canberra playing at home this season, and while they are staring down the barrel of 4 straight losses, it's certainly the best season they've had in their short history. As the ball comes forward again for the Hornets, Stackelberg dropped a mark that he probably should have taken. It's seen over the boundary line, and we'll have a throw-in in front of that cricket centre forward pocket for Aspley. As I say, the Demons 8 consecutive wins earlier in the year, and this young side has come a long way since last season. They've had wins over Aspley, Sydney Uni, the Giants, the Suns, the Lions for the first time in their history. So a lot of positives for the Demons this season. They will play finals next week, but at this stage it'll be an away final as Payne swings it towards full forward, but Isaac Taylor sits back and takes a nice mark in defence. Ever since I said he'd been quiet, he's been racking up the disposals. Kicks it out for Klemke. Klemke gathers in front of Batchelor. Klemke wheels onto the right foot, goes into the middle. The kick's not great. It favours Joyce, and Joyce takes the mark for Aspley.
Hardly surprising that Joyce has looked at home in Canberra.
He just goes short. Does Joyce. And they'll look to soak a bit of time off the clock here, Aspley. We've gone more than 27 minutes. They do hold a 17-point lead, and Joyce has got it back in the middle of the field. I don't know what to say about your Joyce comment, Chris, so I'm going to let it go through the keeper.
Why not?
But I think this certainly is the best contest we've seen in Canberra all week. That is what we will say. Short kick along the boundary line comes to Warren. Warren takes the mark. He's been impressive. Goes inside 50. Stackelberg can't take the mark, but they do get a free. Play onto advantage. The flying shot is a goal. It's a goal to Aspley, and that just about seals it because they are now out by 23 points. It was a free kick paid to Ben Warren in that marking contest. The umpire said play on to advantage, and Aspley with their second goal of the quarter, and that just about seals it, Chris.
I reckon it's Beardsall.
Craven.
No, Craven at the last point. I'm just waiting for the... It is
Right,
Beardsall.
Beardsall.
It was Beardsall who got the goal. So that gives them... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 goal kickers for this afternoon. That's a pretty decent effort to spread it around.
And this will be, Chris, their 6th win in a row, so they take some really hot form into the finals, Aspley. And we know how even this competition is with the likes of Sydney Uni, the Swans, Southport, all pretty even. Aspley is right up there with them, and Aspley with a home final next week, giving themselves a real good look at potentially a NEAFL premiership as the ball is knocked forward for the Hornets, but it's on the ground. We'll see another ball up. No, it spills free. It's spilt free there to Ives, and Ives swings it towards half forward. Comes to Payne. Payne just knocks it backwards for Craven. Craven gets the hand pass out. The ball comes free towards Stackelberg. In fact, Hampton gets there first, and Hampton goes into the corridor, and big Jake Spencer takes the mark. He'll go back from 30 out. Not much of an angle to try and kick his third goal of the day.
Well, they have answered one of the questions that we did have in the pre-game, and that was who was going to cover the absence of Jonathan Freeman, their key forward, who was a late withdrawal from this Aspley side this afternoon. He kicks plenty, and it's basically been, well, the guys who normally set it up for him have been the guys who've been kicking the goals. So this will be Spencer's third if he can get it, and as you said, Eddie, he's got a pretty good angle here, almost directly in front.
Jake Spencer looking for goal number 3. Paik trying to distract him on the mark. Doesn't succeed. Spencer's put it through. 3 goals for Jake Spencer. Another terrific day out for him. And Aspley, they cruise away. We've gone more than 29 minutes. They've kicked 11, 15, 81. Canberra, 7, 10, 52. Good news, Chris. I just saw Cam Milne down there in the spectators' seats, and he looks to be okay after that head knock earlier in the day.
Well, that is good news that he is okay after receiving the knock, but not such good news for the Demons that he's not out there. But we're back to a 29-point margin, which is... my maths is right. Yes, 29-point margin.
And that's probably about right.
That's about fair, I think, for this afternoon.
The goal kicking is sort of evened out, 7-10 to 11-15. The Demons have toiled hard, but Aspley just with too much class, too much pace and dominance in the ruck since Milne went off. But the Demons with a late chance to go forward. Going back with the flight there was Blake Nellis. He'll get the ball by hand from Hayden. Nellis just feeds it backwards there to Stanley. Stanley kicks across the face of goal for Joyce. Joyce gathers, turns his opponent round, now finds Warren. Another disposal for Ben Warren, this time in the back line. Runs out of defence, kicks towards the wing. It'll bounce before it gets to its target, but they keep hold of the footy. Ives picks it up off the ground. Ives gives the hand pass for Toy, but the hand pass wasn't accurate. Gave Bud an opportunity. Now Baker, he had it and lost it. Bud goes in hard again. He might have gotten a push in the back. Umpire says play on. Spills out the back to Carr. He's brought to ground. We'll have a ball up just outside 50 for Aspley.
You would imagine there won't be too much longer left in this one now. 31-minute mark as, well, that's an interesting way for Jake Spencer to win the tap out. It was almost as though he was doing the old card up the sleeve trick for a magician. Ball falls into the path eventually of Connor Owen Orban for the Canberra Demons. Works it over towards the side, the boundary line. Osborne turns around, picks a little chip kick through, finds Taylor. Taylor now on his inside. They've got numbers, and for the Demons, well, who do they get it to? The target was Highmore in the middle of the ground. He can't do much with it. Ball in dispute once again. Comes out towards Bruce. He's dragged away just as he gets the ball. The umpire's bringing it back for a free kick. The Canberra Demons, they play on. Well, they're throwing absolutely everything, including the kitchen sink at their opponents at the moment. Highmore had gone forward, couldn't control it, cleared away by Matthew Payne. Now they bring it back into the centre of the park through Craven. Craven with a little hand pass, and now a kick upfield, and getting in front of it once again was Batchelor, but the ball goes to ground. But I think we've got a push out. We do, and it'll be a free kick. And it'll be Batchelor to take the shot at goal, I'd reckon. Or has the umpire picked someone else to be the recipient? No, it will be Batchelor. It is Batchelor. Just waiting for the ball. Was taking a bit of time to get back over towards him.
Looking for his second goal, Brandon Batchelor. As we say, had a pretty good contest with the Canberra coach, Cade Klemke, there in the Aspley forward line. And they've probably been just about even, but if Batchelor gets 2 goals, he'll be pretty happy with his afternoon.
Comes in, 45-degree angle. Goes for the right foot. It's drifting across to the right and is through for a behind, making it 11-16-82. and the Canberra Demons 7-10-52. So a 30-point margin, 33 minutes gone. Final term, final quarter of the year at Phillip Oval, but I think we're going to see plenty more footy here, and I've got to say it's a great ground and a great tribute to everyone involved in it as the final siren sounds on the Canberra Demons home footy for season 2018, because they will go into the finals in 6th spot, so it doesn't matter what they do from here. Even if they win all the way through to the grand final, Eddie, they'll be playing on the road for the remainder of the season.
Well, a great performance by Aspley this afternoon, getting over the line by 30 points, and they go into the finals in red-hot form. Chris, 6 straight wins now for the Hornets. They are well and truly a contender as we head into the NEAFL final series. For Canberra, going in off the back of 4 straight losses is clearly not what they want, but there are some positives they can take from today. Isaac Taylor found a bit of form in that last quarter. I thought Maguire got back into some form this afternoon as well. A couple of goals each to Bruce and Fulford, and they tried a few different things. They were forced to try some different options with Highmore going forward and Paik going into the ruck. There are potentially some moves that Cade Klemke can keep up his sleeve for the final series if they look to make some adjustments and try a few different tactics to put their opponents off guard. But a great performance by the co-captains of Aspley, Ben Warren and Matthew Payne, dominating in the midfield, helped by Andrew Swallow, and great play by Jake Spencer in the ruck, who also finished with 4 goals and a couple of goals each for the 2 Nellises, Blake and James.
Final score here, Canberra Demons 7-10-52, Aspley Hornets 11-16-82. The ladder, well, that means that the Canberra Demons will finish up in 6th spot with 10 wins and 8 losses and a percentage of 104.7. What is still to come? Well, Aspley, their percentage 110.2. At the moment, that's 3.5 percentage points ahead of Sydney Uni. But Sydney Uni are up against the Northern Territory Thunder, and, well, if Sydney Uni go up for a big win against the Thunder, that could change things again. It would mean that Canberra would be going to Sydney next weekend. You've got to wonder who they'd favour and where they'd prefer to play. And Sydney Uni, well, they're doing absolutely everything they need to right now. They're about a minute into the second quarter there. They've kicked 6-8-44. The Northern Territory Thunder have managed just the solitary point. So Sydney, they've got another 3.1 percentage points to climb to get up to third place on the ladder. And the good thing is, now that we're done here, we can say on NEAFL TV, you can switch over to Thunder Vision and you can catch that one live and see how the rest of this finals equation pans out, which means you don't have to listen to us try and confuse you and give you a headache any further, Ed.
And look, either way, Chris, the Demons will be up against a side that they've met either in the past week or the past fortnight. They played Sydney Uni last week, they played Aspley today, so we'll see in the finals sides that are pretty familiar with each other, and they've had an opportunity today, Canberra, to try a few different things, see what worked and what didn't work against Aspley, and who knows, we could see a different sort of contest if they meet again next week.
And let's not forget the other thing, that this Canberra side have never made the finals previously in the NEAFL, so that is a little bit of history for them this afternoon, that they have wrapped up a finals berth, or they actually managed that a couple of weeks ago, but they'll be playing finals footy next week, and you've got to be in it to win it, because there are sides that won't be in that finals, but the Canberra Demons, they will be doing it, and of course you'll be able to catch all the finals live on NEAFL TV as well. You won't miss that one. And Eddie, it's been great to call some footy with you here in the nation's capital across the course of the season.
Thank you.
Let's do it again next year, hey?
I think so.
Eddie Williams, thank you very much on behalf of everyone involved in NEAFL TV and from our broadcast partners, Bar TV. Thanks for joining us here from the nation's capital for round 21 of the NEAFL. Of course, the NEAFL proudly supported by Elastoplast. Repeating that final score, the Aspley Hornets 11-16-82. The Canberra Demons 7-10-52. This is Chris Coleman thanking you for your company this afternoon here from the nation's capital.